Good morning, everybody. This is the Oskar Quentin Show, where I talk about politics and really whatever I feel like talking about with the strangers who call into my show on TikTok Live. If you're watching this after the fact, there's a pinned comment that'll tell you when the first call starts, and there's a more detailed list of timestamps and descriptions in the description below. Thank you to the staff for doing that. I'm paying some people. I made a mistake yesterday. I uploaded the wrong episode. Like I had the right title and thumbnail, but I just grabbed the wrong video file, so it was episode 64 instead of episode 74. And I made a little announcement to be like, hey, everybody, I fixed it. And somebody was like, I thought you hired people. And I had to be like, didn't have them today. So I suppose I should be more clear. I have staff that I've hired to help with editing. And then Wednesday was the first day where I had somebody in the producer seat over there minding the show for me so that I could focus more on what I was doing in the actual show. But that's not going to be every day. So I will announce probably at the beginning of each episode where I have a live producer that I do have a live producer. I don't today, though I believe I will tomorrow. Anyway. Do not bother the staff. They are busy and they have other jobs, and I'm only paying them for part-time involvement. So as the show grows, maybe that will change. But, consider everything to be my fault. My name is the one on all of the things. So if there's a mistake, blame me. Monks said they also supported war. Already upset about the sign. Why don't you call in and we can talk about it? Because I guess here's what I'll say for the people watching this episode after the fact who can hear my general thought about the prompt today. The founding fathers would be furious. I think if we actually teleported them to today, there's a bunch they'd be upset about because they were a bunch of racist, backwards, old white dudes from the past. So they'd be pretty upset about women voting, maybe. They'd be pretty upset about slavery being over. Like, there's some stuff they'd be upset about. But what I'm talking about is the thing they figured out, which is that regardless of the social norms of the time, regardless of what the current laws are, something they figured out that's really important is that you shouldn't you shouldn't let one guy have all the power. That's really the thing they figured out when they wrote the founding documents. And I think that they would look at the way that power is being consolidated by 47, and I don't think they'd be happy about it. I think they would say, oh no, that guy is in charge. He's doing what he wants. I think they'd think that Trump looks like a king. I think the friendly people watching know where I'm going at with this type of thing. You guys get it. Let's get the multi-guest request queue open so I can see when somebody wants to join and talk to me about this stuff. And tomorrow's the 4th of July, and I don't have any particular plans. I've been getting messages about that. I mean, I have some personal plans for the day. I am going to do the show the normal time, so expect a normal episode tomorrow, probably normal length, maybe long. I don't know. I have to see about my social plans. Got to send some text messages. But there isn't really a particularly organized protest or event or anything for tomorrow. I know I've been talking a little bit on this show about how I think that 5051 and the No Kings people have been kind of dropping it on making sure that there's a thing for people to go to, because I looked it up. I was like, where are we going on the 4th? What are we upset about? Where are we meeting up to all yell about this? And nope, just isn't happening. I see somebody in the request queue, but I'm gonna do my job properly today. Let's try to get the backup account in the corner first. So I'll invite myself in. Join. Scout, you're making such a... There we go. We got feedback and my cat bothering. Everybody say hi to Scout. Scout's very cute and demands attention today. This is the backup account. You should follow it in case this account gets banned, because that'll happen eventually. All right. Well, Scout, if you want that much attention, you're just gonna have to come sit on my lap while I talk to Done with 4 N's, Done with 2 N's, 21, and hopefully we get a debate right at the beginning of the show today. How old are you?
32.
32. Are you a Trump supporter?
I am.
Why is that?
I'm curious because I like Donald Trump and I like what he's doing. You said the founding fathers would be furious. Mm-hmm. Are they furious because blacks are walking around free and they were slave owners?
Oh, you missed the part where I talked about how they were a bunch of backward racist white people from the past, and they'd probably be upset about all that. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about they'd be upset about the consolidation of the power in the federal government right now, because they wrote the founding documents of the country to prevent that sort of thing. And I think they recognize that that is more important than the social zeitgeist and various social policies and rights of the time. I think they realized that was foundational, which is why they founded the country on those principles. So yes, I preempted the
country on slavery and taking states over, so you're wrong about that.
Okay, so you don't believe in the founding documents? You don't think we should respect any of that?
The founding documents that said women couldn't vote? Yeah, I believe in that.
You don't think women should vote?
No. Founding fathers, right? You can't pick and choose with them.
Well,
either you want it all or you want none of it. You can't pick and choose.
They designed a system where
they designed a system for slavery and women not to vote.
Do you know what an amendment is?
That's the system they designed. Don't try to pick and choose.
I don't think I am. I think that you know what? Actually, we're going to start today hot. Camera on. I'm not doing this. I think this is a troll. Camera on if you want to continue.
Let's see your teeth. Did you get those teeth fixed?
No, I'm going to
you got some fucked up teeth.
Yeah,
you got some fucked up teeth.
Camera on or let's continue.
Yeah, you look like a founding father. You look like a founding father with that grill of yours.
Can we get some camera emojis in the chat for this chud who's afraid to show his face given the beliefs that he has?
Show those teeth again. Show those founding father teeth. Show those. You can end the war in Iran if you just bit somebody. I'm telling you right now.
If you don't turn your camera on, I'm not fucking doing it, dude.
I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you, a self-hating white man with some bad teeth. That's exactly what you are. A self-hating white man. You want to use the founding fathers' words.
Teeth, buddy. I want to see what your teeth look like.
Did not want black people or women to vote. Everybody to vote. That's what I'm saying. You pick and choose.
I'm actually going to mute you, which I don't do very often on the show, but I am just going to say.
Picking and choosing, ladies and gentlemen.
See, if you fight the mute, I'm going to kick. I am. You're gonna put your camera on because you said some seriously reprehensible things, and you have to put your camera on if you want to stay on my show. And I said that's probably what your argument was going to be.
Women did not
before you called in. People saw it. If you're going to come on my show and say that women aren't allowed to vote, you need to turn your camera on. It's the only time I'm going to use my mute button. I'm changing the rules on my show. I will use the mute button to insist that a person puts their camera on. Because people are getting upset that so many people like you get to spread these ideas without sharing their identities. So you need to turn your camera on.
Caught him in a lie.
Camera on. That's the only thing that happens next. Camera on.
Founding fathers.
Camera on.
Founding fathers.
All right. So
slave owners who didn't want women to vote.
You know what, dude?
That's what he wants to do. Do not let them.
All right, so anyway, that coward wouldn't show his face. You know, we all know why. We all know there'd be consequences in his life if the world knew the beliefs that he has about women. He doesn't want his girlfriend to see that. He doesn't want his wife or whoever to see that. He doesn't want his mother to see that. He doesn't want his sisters to see that. He doesn't want his coworkers to see that. He doesn't want his friends to see that. He doesn't want to worry about that existing about him for the rest of his life, even though I'm brave enough to sit here and record 2 hours of my deepest, darkest thoughts and feelings about the world every single fucking day. Seriously, I think there's a change in tone happening on the show. We're getting to a point where a Trump supporter is such a reprehensible monster because all of the halfway reasonable Trump supporters are starting to see the light and realize that these things are indefensible. W prompt, I think. We're going to bring them out of the woodworks today, and I'm going to be demanding that they turn their cameras on because you know what? I want this show to be a more audio-visual experience. People are getting tired of looking at my ugly mug, and people keep saying my teeth are crooked. They're not that crooked. This one's just broken. Getting it fixed this summer. Fucking chill out. Dun is back in the chat. So I'm going to give him one opportunity to turn his fucking camera on. And if he doesn't, he's getting kicked fucking immediately.
Your camera teeth are fucked up, bro.
All right, so that guy's unwilling to actually back up his beliefs. He's unwilling to put his money where his mouth is. That's the way it goes sometimes. And I'm going to thank Jazz for $5 over on YouTube Super Chat for saying I'm very excited for tomorrow because Drumpf is refusing to budge on his 2-hour-long speech at the peak of the heat wave. He may melt into the grass. That will be very interesting to watch. If you want to support, you can do it through things like YouTube Super Chat or the gifts over here on TikTok, or you can go to the Linktree in my bio and send some money to my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon. Support my trip to go get some new toofers in California this summer. That might happen. I'm working with a dentist who's willing to do some free dental work for the cause, and he considers me part of the cause, so that's very exciting. You can also support me for free by following the backup account to make sure that the show gets pushed to you, even if this account gets banned and I have to do it on a different account. Or you can just go follow me elsewhere. You can watch the show, when I'm not live on YouTube, or follow me on Instagram for more. Instagram's like my actual personal social media. It's the only one of these accounts I had before I started all this. That's just actually my social media. So message me on there if you want me to read it faster. Anyway, we're going to talk to Rich Poor 84, all one word, all lowercase. And we're going to see if he has such reprehensible beliefs that I demand he turn his camera on. I would actually prefer that not be the way the call goes. How old are you?
30 years old.
30 years old. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I heard the conversation you were having with Pickles yesterday, and there's a problem. Is that you brought it up too? The left and Democrats and liberals, they only accept perfection like it's like a purity test. So, like for example, you even cited yesterday. You were like, oh well, if you're against suffering, then you should be vegan. They say that to you. And that's the problem is that
Well,
they
hold on.
Go ahead. Yep, go ahead.
Just a piece of advice. Most of the people watching right now did not hear the conversation with Pickles tomorrow, so I'd be happy to recount some of that, and maybe you can, if you think I'm misrepresenting what I said yesterday, we can address that. It's recorded. It's on Pickles' channel. But which part of the conversation do you think we should educate the hundreds of people watching about yesterday so that they understand what it is you're saying about me right now?
Yeah, so it's the purity test. How Democrats and liberals and the left, if you make one mistake, they will hold it against you forever.
Moving on to your interpretation of the conversation. What is it that I or Pickles said on Pickles' show yesterday that we're currently talking about? Because I was there and I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay, I'll keep it short. So it was.
It's not about keeping it short. It's about offering the context so that I and the audience know what you're talking about. I sit in this chair and I talk to people all day long. I don't remember specifically what part of the conversation with Pickles you're upset about tomorrow. You're not even doing a good job of clarifying it to me, and I participated in the conversation. The people watching didn't. So I want you to be more long-winded. I want you to slow down and explain what it was we were talking about yesterday and what you thought about it, and then we can move on to whatever it is we're talking about today.
If you're against suffering, you should be vegan. That's what they say to you.
Well, I said that I like veganism and vegetarianism is an area where I feel some conflict. I feel like I may be exercising some cognitive dissonance because I do eat meat. I've always eaten meat, but I kind of feel like it's one of those things where if I'm a really important political commentator, 100 years from now, people might be like, oh man, that Oskar Quentin, he did some great things for democracy in America in the early 20th century. Can you believe he was still eating meat? The same way that we talk about the founding fathers and said they did some great things for the country. Can you believe they were still enslaving black people? Can you believe they didn't let women vote? Can you believe they didn't codify that in the first version of the Constitution? We had to amend it in. Like, that's what I was saying about it. And I said that maybe because we see it that way, maybe that's a good reason for me to just accelerate this thing and say, no, I don't want people to have to say that about me. Maybe I should be vegetarian. That's what the conversation was.
Exactly. And that's the problem, is that they demand perfection. So like what you're doing, is that not good enough? Why do you have to take it a step further and now be vegan? Do you see where I'm coming from? It's a purity test. You have to be perfect to be a Democrat. That's the fucking problem I'm trying to talk about.
I don't think I've ever said that you have to be perfect to be a Democrat. I also don't really support establishment Democrats as much as maybe you think that I do. I don't know where you're getting this. I think you're making a leap about your opinion about what I said. You're drawing some conclusions from it, but those aren't directly beliefs that I hold.
No, but you would agree with me that if you make one mistake, the Democrats will hold it against you. It's an impossible perfection test that you have to be completely.
I don't agree with that. I don't think that's right.
Yes, you do. You completely agree. Like, the left is really impatient. Yeah.
I can walk out of frame if you know everything that I know and you're unwilling to listen to what I actually think about what I believe. What the fuck is this?
No, I'm not Mr. Know-It-All. I'm not claiming that. I'm just saying that
you're not claiming that you know it all. You're claiming that you know what I know and what I believe and what I want. And no, I don't think anybody's perfect. I'm not perfect. I've made grievous mistakes in my life. Everybody does. It's hard. I talk all the time about how it's hard to be president for 4 or 8 years without some sort of major fuck up that we have to judge really badly, which is why there are major constitutional and ethical blunders from literally every president. The thing that frustrates me is that the bars are in such different places that we can be upset about what Obama did with drone strikes, or we can be upset about the way in which Biden tried to throw out student loans because the Supreme Court found it to be unconstitutional, or like any number of things like that. There are more grievances I have with them, but we spend so much time on these handfuls of grievances because it's the standard from the right. It's the right saying that the Democrats have to be perfect. Meanwhile, the Republicans are performing a grand conspiracy to protect pedophiles. They're also bombing children. Like, there's a whole bunch of crazy nonsense going on, and the standards are very different. That's what I'm upset about. I don't think anybody's perfect. And if you were listening to Pickles' episode yesterday, we had a long section where we were highly critical of something that Tim Walz, my Democratic governor, had done recently in the news this week. So I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
Yeah, so we're getting somewhere, because you understand what I'm saying.
We got there yesterday. You just weren't listening.
No, I wasn't there for the entire conversation, but I did hear bits and pieces of it. But you know
that stop acting like you know everything about me, for fuck's sake.
No, the Democrats, see, look, you're being impatient. That's what the problem I'm pointing at. The Democrats are impatient and crucial. If you make one mistake, they'll never forgive you in your life. That's the problem. They expect perfection. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Hey, dude, I forgive
you're impatient. Look at you right now. You're impatient. We can see you're impatient.
But you're just
telling me. I'll mute my mic.
You don't have to mute your mic. I'm just saying, you keep telling me that I don't forgive people for mistakes, but that's just not true. Why are you saying that? I've given examples of me forgiving people for mistakes. I'm not going to give examples about my personal life, but I've forgiven myself for making some mistakes. Like, What are you talking about, dude?
No, so dude, you've seen it happen all the time with other Democrat creators, left-wing creators, is that if they make one mistake, they're not forgiven and they have to completely apologize a million times. You know what I'm talking about. Don't act like you don't see
I think that some people are overzealous with the cancel culture. Yes, I don't think that it's as widespread a problem as you think it is.
So you agree with me, just not to the same extent. So we're on the same page.
Okay, no, hold on. Wait, I want to point out that what you just said is kind of, I don't think it was disingenuous, but I just want to describe why I take issue with you saying that we agree, but to a different extent. Because I could say that, like, you know, if somebody like covered themselves in peanut butter and went on a stabbing spree with a knife, right? Like, that'd be really bizarre and horrible. And one of us might say something like, wow, it's such a big widespread problem, all these people covering themselves in peanut butter and running around and stabbing people. And the more reasonable one of us would go, this is a grievous problem, but it isn't a widespread problem. There's not lots of people doing this. So saying that we're upset about the same thing but disagree to the extent really doesn't get to the fact that one of us is talking about an isolated incident or a rare incident, and then the other one is saying that it's like the status quo. The normal thing to do is cover yourself in peanut butter and run around and stab people. You see how these are like very different things, even though it is just a difference of scale?
That's interesting.
Because I agree with you that like canceling somebody because they have one opinion that you don't like, or one policy that you don't like, or one thing in their past that you don't like, depending on what that thing is. Some things are so grievous we should cancel people for them. But I agree with you that you shouldn't do that. And I agree that there are some people on the left who think that you should. I don't think that, I mean, the people on the right do it hypocritically. They want to cancel everybody on the left for any mistake they've ever made, but they accept the mistakes of the right. So I point out that where the bars are different and the hypocrisy and the double standard, I'm concerned about that. But you're sitting here telling me that I'm canceling people for like minor things, and I just don't think you can find an example of me doing that.
No, okay. So I'm saying that the Democrats do it more than Republicans, and to my understanding, you're a Democrat, right? Because like you're like,
well, I mean, in terms of left and right, like if I have to choose between Democrats and Republicans, it's pretty much Democrats every time. But I don't like identify as like a yay Democrat. No.
Okay, because the reason why
for the chat, by the way, just for context for the chat, this is not for you, caller. Just give me a second here. We were talking about Walls pardoning that rapist, at which we were critical of. We really dug into it. And yeah, I'm critical of him doing that. That's the thing that we were talking about. Bad.
Yes.
Bad move, Tim Walls. Fucking very bad move, I think.
100%. But yeah, the reason I'm bringing it to your attention is because like you're this new hotshot kid on the block that you're like the new crate. People are talking about, oh, look at this Oscar guy. So I had to come and see your perspective. I had to come and question you about that.
Sounds like you showed up here already knowing my perspective. I don't know
everything about you, but I've heard about you though. I've heard a little bit. And so that's the problem, is that there's this purity test that you guys expect perfection. Otherwise you're going to criticize and be impatient. Why are you going back to that
though? You're talking to me. You're excited. I'm so famous now. You're excited to talk to me. You've got me in front of you right now. And I'm telling you that I don't.
All that. Dude, don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say all that, dude. I just said that you're this guy everybody.
You just spent like 15 seconds glazing me as like the rising star of the fucking community, and you wanted to come talk to me, and you're telling me something I believe that I don't.
Wow.
Words out of your mouth, buddy. Like, what the fuck?
You're a fucking narcissist. You're a narcissist, dude.
I think you have to be successful at this.
Wow.
I'm an actor. I'm a theater kid. Yes, I'm an attention whore. I love this. It's fun for me. Correct.
Wow. Yeah,
I think somebody who doesn't have those character qualities would like get burnout from doing this. The fact that I get hyped up to sit and do this 2 hours a day, most people it would be really draining. That's what's wrong with me. I'm using it for good. Sorry.
I understand. All I'm happy about is I got a concession. You agreed with what I said earlier, so I appreciate
which
that
part.
The most.
Which part?
That's what I came here for. That's all I wanted.
But wait, you said that I agree with what you said earlier, and based on the way that you talked about what I said yesterday, it sounds to me like that might not be an accurate portrayal of what happened. Which thing that you said earlier did I agree with?
Dude, we don't. I'm trying to end on a positive note. We don't need to get back into this shit because I will crash out. I'm not. I don't have the patience to do it.
See, because that's the thing. I'm so fueled by the fact that I care about this, and it's exciting for me that I don't actually crash out. Like sometimes I get loud and animated, but it's very performative. You can't control your temper enough to have a conversation with me.
Dude, we already went through this though. We don't need to do. You're being narcissistic. You admit you're a narcissist. You admitted that. You admitted you're a narcissist. So why would we even go back and forth after you just clearly admitted, no shame, no apology?
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you trying to cancel me for having one character flaw?
Somebody clip. This guy's a fucking narcissist, dude. You have a good one. You have a good one, Oscar. I appreciate the conversation.
Oh, he's canceling me because of one character flaw. Oh no, the purity testing. Oh no. What a fucking joke of a call. Holy shit. Lucky Phil just became a supporter on Buy Me a Coffee for $2. He said the left need to be perfect for the right, Fox News, etc. And even when they're damn close, even when they're doing nothing wrong, they'll still find bullshit like a tan suit and mustard on a hot dog to mock and belittle. Meanwhile, turning themselves into pretzels to defend their mango Mussolini. Caller is projecting and making as much sense as trying to smell the color 9. Dude, like, seriously, the hypocrisy of him bailing on a fucking purity test because of fucking, that's just fucking absolutely crazy. Jessica, I see your Venmo. Message me on Instagram and we'll talk. I hear you. I want to, I'm not going to talk about that in public, but message me on Instagram if you can. We'll chat. I'll see if I can help you out. But I just gotta be careful after the thing I did on yesterday's show. I don't want too many people knocking on my door, so just talk to me and we'll talk. Anyway, oh god, I'm distracted by trying to make sure I check all the dang places. And the Discord, which I forgot to open. If you want to join the Discord, you can go to the link tree in my bio. There's now a public link. You have to convince the mods on there that you are not gonna wreak havoc on there. Discord's telling me that he's a known troll and that he's actually a leftist and trolls all the panels until he gets blocked. Okay, we'll block him the next time he's up. But yeah, I mean, whatever. It wasn't working on me. It's a bunch of bullshit. Yeah. Excellent. Moving on. Linktree in the bio. We're gonna talk to CELOTEX 24.2, Celotex 24.2, and we're gonna see if they make sense to me, because the previous caller did not. Hello, how old are you?
I'm 31.
Are you a Trump supporter?
No, I'm just here to say I love you, Oscar. You're doing such a fantastic job, dude.
W's in the chat for Celotex. I appreciate you. Thank you for the kind words. We're hitting the ground running today with pretty reprehensible callers, so I appreciate the kind words. We're gonna talk to Mick Muffin, space between Mick and Muffin. Or is it MC Muffin? How old are you?
It's McMuffin. I'm 21.
McMuffin. All right, 21. Are you a Trump supporter? Are you driving a car?
I was actually here too. No, I'm parking.
Come back. You're also, you said you're also maybe a convert friendly. We can do that a little bit later in the show. Call back in about an hour. We can chat. What's the word? All one word is here, and we'll see if we get another debate. Oh, red flags for McMuffin.
I absolutely did not mean to. I was tapping.
You are forgiven, because we don't cancel people for making one mistake here on the Oskar Quentin Show, unless it's a grievous mistake, and I don't consider joining the queue by accident to be a grievous mistake. But I do consider not joining the queue to be a grievous mistake if you're a Trump supporter, because I think if McMuffin's back, he's the only one in the queue, and we got red flags, but I'm not, when people say there's red flags in the chat for a guest, I'm always like, well, I platform rapists, so, like, what do you mean? Is this a problem for the show or what? What's the word says as a teacher, thank you for what you do. W's in the chat for what's the word. I appreciate you. Where is the Discord? It's in the link tree in the bio. It should be. If it's not, tell me. Yeah, I've kicked him from other lives. Okay, well, we're going to see. I got to make sure everybody earns their kick here. I try not to. There's a couple of people who I really do trust to say don't platform this person. A couple of people in the Discord who are kind of in charge of keeping track of that stuff for me. W, Midwest Progressive. He's always on it with that shit. McMuffin, you said you were 21?
Correct.
Okay, and I can hear that your car's not moving now. Yay. You said you were no longer a Trump supporter. Is that correct?
Yes, and I was just going to say, I was here roughly 2 months ago, and I only just stumbled upon your live by accident today, and we left it with you telling me to vote blue no matter who. And I've been thinking about that, honestly, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that I probably should.
Well,
and,
yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I still don't really agree with the Democrats, but I do think, Trump is a big issue.
I have moved away from saying blue no matter who, because I said it like as a thing when like the midterms came up for a couple months, and then I had some friends pointed out to me and some other people pointed out to me that the phrase really means like blue no matter who forever, and that's not what I mean by it. I'm talking about right the fuck now with what's going on in America in 2026 and these midterms
and
that
I
are
understood
coming up.
that like from what you're getting at, and like originally I was defensive against that because like ideologically and just from my views is that I wouldn't want to vote for them, but when they just sucker up to whatever Trump does, I'm not voting for them or their views, or just voting for an extension of Trump.
Yeah,
and, I don't like Trump at all.
Right, and you can hate both. We can say that like Democrats do completely evil things, but which they do, like the establishment Democrats, like they allow the U.S. government to do completely evil things. We have Obama who did some very evil things with drones. We, even Kamala was not going to be, I don't want a president who like not supporting Israel isn't enough. We should be one of the countries where Benjamin Netanyahu gets arrested if he sets foot on our soil. Most places on earth, if Benjamin Netanyahu were to visit, the local police would arrest him because he's recognized as a fucking war criminal, an internationally recognized war criminal. We allow internationally recognized war criminals to visit the White House. That's fucking insane. And just because the Republicans are doing the visits doesn't mean that it's okay that the Democrats are still not interested in arresting the fucking guy. So I have some pretty extreme views about that neither party are thank you for the gifts, everybody. The neither parties are addressing, but just the fact of the matter is that's like, so if we're going to weigh pros and cons, that one's a tie, sort of, kind of, not really, but like similar, mad at both of them for it. But there's a bunch of really terrible stuff that the Democrats or that the Republicans are doing that the Democrats aren't. And we just locally need to worry about that in the midterms, because if we want to fix any of this after the fact.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. Like, I mean, I just figured, like, I was just scrolling and I stumbled upon your live again, so I figured I'd just let you know that I thought about it, what you said.
Well, I appreciate it. And I feel like almost you and I have come maybe to he left, but I feel like he and I have almost come somewhere closer to the middle, where like I believe the same thing I believed months ago when I was saying blue no matter who. I just am more careful about how I talk about it now, because I just didn't realize that it was broadcasting maybe the wrong idea about what I feel about the Democrats. 77, thank you for the gifts. I see you there. Queue is empty. I thought we were going to have a crazy show today, because we really had some interesting characters, but yeah, the Democrats cult vote blue no matter who. Okay, there's people upset in the chat, so why is the queue empty? Have you all had your live privileges revoked for slurring? Okay, wait, no, we got some people here. We got Lillian Opperman, Lillian.Opperman. We'll see if she's a Trump supporter. Oh, the button's not working. Hi. Oh, there we go. Now she's connecting. Something tells me she didn't mean to connect. Hello, how old are you?
Oh, hi.
Did you mean to connect?
Yeah.
Okay, are you a Trump supporter? Or how old are you? Sorry.
Sorry, I'm 18. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I heard the queue was empty, and if you need someone to talk to, I am politically involved and interested.
You know what? I try to keep the friendly calls to the end of the show. So if you want to call back past 11:30 in the Central Time Zone, perhaps it just kind of depends on how the show goes. But yeah, I appreciate you hopping up. But we're gonna talk to that guy M4, capital T, capital G, all one word, capital M also. Sorry, me later editing this. Oh no, it's Raven doing the timestamps. Hello, Raven. W's in the chat for Raven. That guy M4. How old are you?
We are Charlie Kirk.
We are gonna talk to ADA, all lowercase. And then we got a couple of regulars in the queue who I know happen to not be trolls. So hang tight, everybody. Got somebody who's not a troll.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to join.
You are forgiven. All right, chat. Do we want Kimikaze, who's 18 and can't do math, or Frank Rizzo, who's which one is Frank Rizzo? He's an older, middle-aged gentleman who's. Is he a rude overtalker? You know what? I'm actually going to go Frank Rizzo first, because I can't quite remember which regular he is, but the chat seems to want Frank. And Chemo might be banned just for being unproductive, but hang tight, Chemo. Maybe we'll talk today. I don't know. Hello, Frank Rizzo. How old are you?
58. Brooklyn and Las Vegas. I voted Trump.
Are you driving?
No, my father's driving. Is it bad? If it is, I'll get down. I'm sorry.
It's in addition to it being hairy TOS wise, because I do believe you. You're a regular caller. I know you wouldn't do that to the show. The auto system can catch it if there's noise like that, and it is just bad for the show for there to be that type of background noises. We use. It loses viewers. Anyway, we're going to talk to Miguelito, Miguel ITO. And then Kim, you're the last one in the queue, so we might talk briefly, but I'm not going to give you the whole show, Kimikaze. Miguelito is slow to connect, so he might be teacupped. He might not know that he's in the request queue. That happens sometimes. That's happening a lot today, but I forgive it. No worries, Frank. It's just gotta mind the noise for the show. Miguelito's not connecting. I don't think he intended to. So we are gonna briefly talk to Keem. But I will say to Keem right as we start, he's 18 years old. He's a regular caller.
What's up, Sonny Bun? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Every time you're the last one in the queue, I do just have to ask myself, is it even possible to have a productive conversation about anything with you? Because here you are.
Oh, it's always productive, man. Come on.
I don't think that it is. I think that oftentimes you're really resistant to admitting that you don't understand some very basic things, and then you want to talk about some very complicated things. And I think it's really important to figure out some basic things to do with a topic before we figure out the important stuff. And that's my problem with you, is that you jump to big conclusions about big important stuff, and then I ask you some very basic questions about how that stuff works, and you don't understand. So that leads me to believe that the things that you believe are not based in any understanding of what you know about how the government works or how people's rights work or anything like that. You just got big feelings about this stuff and you're uninterested in learning. And as a high school teacher, it makes me very unhappy.
Interested in learning.
You're interested in learning? Is that what I heard? Are you interested in learning? Is that what I heard you say?
Yo, I'm in Arkansas and there's bad connection. I'm gonna have to come up in like a few days, alright? Sound good?
Sure thing.
'Cause I ain't got a good...
Sure thing. We're going to talk to Daft. No, we're not going to talk to Daft. Daphne's not in the queue anymore. I am going to thank Sawyer for $10 on Venmo. Sawyer says, thank you for what you do. I love the way you talk and handle a guest. It's a breath of fresh air. I try to... I mean, at the end of the day, the reason I started this is because the show that I wanted to watch in terms of political debates on TikTok didn't exist. So I run it. Yay. Now it does exist. Thank you for being a fan of it. Nothing on Cash App. Linktree in the bio. If you like the show, if you also appreciate what I'm doing, you can go follow me on the other platforms. That's free. Doesn't cost anything. Helps me out immensely. Excited for 10K on YouTube. We're on the way, and 10K would be pretty handy on this account, but I know that's going to take a while because I'm only at like 16 or 17K on the main account on here. It's hilarious. All my followers are elsewhere. Like my whole social media plan has to do with getting all my followers to come over to TikTok and YouTube and actually watch the show because the clips do great. W, Raven, and Jesse for editing clips for me, so I don't fucking have to because my God, it has been months and months of just constant clip editing. In the Discord, they're saying I should use the mute button more. I think like with a caller like that, where I immediately demand that the camera goes on because they're just I think that's going to be the new tactic. Like I don't want to spend time with people who are just like yelling that women shouldn't vote or something if they're not willing to just put their fucking face to it, right? Like, so I think in a situation like that where I'm like swinging the hammer as like supreme overlord of the show, because as much as it upsets the chuds, a production environment is fascistic. I'm in charge. My show. Oscar is king. Mahahaha. It's not a country that you live in. You can fucking leave if you don't like that, because that's how that works. Anyway, they think that because like I have some socialist like ideals, that means that I don't think that a person's allowed to be in charge of something. Like it's not how it works. I would argue that if we ran the show with socialist ideas, it would not perform well. So maybe more mute button. But in general, if I'm actually trying to have a conversation with somebody, the reason I don't use the mute button really ever on the show is because I have this thing that I just think that when we talk about dog walking, the phrase dog walking for crushing it like in a debate, it's just so much more impressive if the leash is slacked, right? Because, if you're just dragging a dead dog down the street, like everybody can see that they're wrong, but they can't see that they're wrong. And if you mute somebody who's yapping, you then don't know if they're listening or if they're just continuing to yap away while they're muted, which a lot of them do. Because then you go and unmute them and they're still yapping. They just haven't stopped. So they didn't listen to your clear explanation of why they're wrong. The audience did. The audience knows why they're wrong. We can point and laugh. But I'm not really sure. I mean, that's fun, but that's not really the goal of any of these calls. I want the best moments on this show are when the caller realizes they're wrong, whether they admit it or not. I've been talking with Raven and Jesse about how to edit clips, and one of the things we've been talking about, something that makes a really good clip, is when there's one of those big pauses where I say something, I ask a question, and you can just hear the gears grinding. You can hear them trying to frantically get it from ChatGPT or hold on, no, that's different. And it's like those moments are the ones where everybody can tell, because we all have social skills, that the caller's gagged. The caller just does not know how to answer what I've told them because they've put themselves in a corner, and I've pointed that out, and there's just no way to explain it. So and you just don't get that if you mute people, right? So I just really, really avoid the mute unless it's super duper necessary in the case of the first call today, Guy immediately came up and said that he wanted women to not vote, and it's just like, camera, dude. Let's talk about that for an hour while we look at your pretty mug. My goodness. Is that it? 33 minutes into the show, queue's empty. 600 people watching, something like that. Yeah, 600 people watching, and nobody wants to talk about these things. RF kidding me is a friendly, but I'll give him like a minute because the queue's empty. I think he's a friendly. Remind me, I don't remember. How old are you?
I am 39, Arkansas. Man, I'm just saying right now, you are working harder than Mitch McConnell's life support all the way until midterms.
I appreciate you. I'm going to let you go because of the road noise. But, man, Mitch McConnell is like... I have been saying for years that he's already dead. And I keep saying this, but I think it's maybe something to talk about as we go into the midterms, as we have this news story that came out that... do I have super chats to read? What's going on? The Discord's telling me I have super chats. Oh my goodness, why weren't they showing up on my screen? I'll read these. I'm sorry, everybody. Katie sent me $2 to say, liberals aren't the ones viewing me as subhuman. Yeah, no, they're not. Appreciate you, Katie. And Zeppy sent me $5 on YouTube Super Chat to say, MAGA, if I can't generalize it, I can't understand it. Oscar is left-leaning. Therefore, what he says is what all people on the left believe, right? Yeah, highly simplistic view of politics. It's simply more complicated than that. Thank you, Zeppy. And Kronos sent $5 to say, back from my lunch soon, so be off to listening mode. Have a great stream. I'll be here in the background and pop in on break. Keep the stupid coming, Oscar. I appreciate you, Kronos. W's in the chat for Kronos, Zeppy, Katie, and... who else was it? Jazz. Yeah, the regular funders over on YouTube. W regular YouTube chat team. Those guys are always really holding it down. Will say to everybody watching on TikTok, YouTube chat's kind of a nicer place. It's friendly over there. We're going to talk to 2121Z, 6Zs, 2121Z. I'm going to guess troll based on the username, but I would love to be proven wrong. So let's have them tell me how old they are.
Yo.
Hello.
I'm 20.
20, Illinois. Are you a Trump supporter?
Oh, no, I don't really got either side. I was calling to ask because I'm a first time looking. I'm not a troll. Mm-hmm. What's the worst thing you think Trump has done
in his life?
In your opinion? Yeah, and then move me out. I just wanted to. That was the only question I had to ask.
I really value this type of call. You're an undecided 20-year-old voter. Is that you're like looking down the barrel of your first election? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I think it's really difficult to compare these things because we don't know the scale of one of them. Because Trump has done some war crimes during his second term that I'm very, very upset about. He's been involved in some seriously bad stuff. The United States military bombed a school and he lied to the public about it. I recognize Donald Trump is not the person who made the mistake that caused that school to be bombed, but he did try to hide it, and that's pretty reprehensible. And he is the one who started the war that caused all those deaths. That's pretty hard to that's a lot of deaths, so I feel like I have to weigh that more than all the things that he did to women and children. But we don't know how much he did to women and children because he's hiding the Epstein files. And then I could say that hiding the Epstein files is yet another really reprehensible thing. So some of these things are so big that I don't spend a lot of time trying to weigh how bad they are because I think that would break my heart too much. I think it's easier to just recognize that if I'm having a hard time weighing a person's war crimes against their rapes, they probably shouldn't be president.
Fair. Thank you.
Hey, just as if we're looking at the midterms, the thing I've been saying lately is that the bigger problem here in terms of the things the founding fathers would be upset about, the founding fathers didn't want one person to have power. The reason that Trump is the one person who has power right now and why he's kind of running house in the government is because we have a lot of Republicans in the Senate and in the House, in Congress, the two chambers of Congress that are just doing whatever he says instead of listening to the founding fathers documents, instead of listening to the Constitution and the law and the division of power and all this important civic stuff. So if you're looking at the midterms, vote for people who don't listen to Donald Trump because it sounds like you recognize he's a bad dude. So check if people are loyal to him and don't vote for those people. That's what I'd say.
Sounds good. Thank you, man.
Appreciate you for hopping up. W2121. And thank you, Discord, for the reminder that I was in the middle of talking about Mitch McConnell. I've been saying this lately because this is just a thing that I think about a lot in terms of having elderly people running the government, which is that in America, under the Federal Aviation Administration, we don't allow people who are 80 years old to fly planes by themselves. because like you can get like a Cessna 172, like one of those little 2-seater planes that rich people get to buy if they have that hobby in their retirement. And, you know, this is a plane that weighs less than a minivan. This is like a tin can. But, you know, it's a fucking airplane. So, you know, we got to follow the rules. And one of the rules is that if you're 80, you need a relief pilot. Because normally you're allowed to get certified to fly a Cessna by yourself. But if you're over 80-year-olds have this problem where they fucking die suddenly or have strokes. Their brain stops working. Like, it's just, you know, it's very, very spooky being older than 80 if you're important and in charge of dangerous things. And I just think that a Senate seat is way more dangerous than a Cessna. So I can't square the fact that the Federal Aviation Administration is one of the only administrations that has so good a record of really sticking to their mission statement of creating safety in aviation, which is why air travel is so safe, because we have an accident. When something goes wrong in aviation, we do a years-long investigation finding every step of the way where any little procedural deviance or, oh no, the procedures were followed and the accident happened anyway, therefore the procedures are bad. How can we improve the likelihood of this never happening again? We like analyze it. And that's just to prevent like a minivan sized airplane from crashing into a fucking desert somewhere, or like, you know, heaven forbid, like a structure, but the odds of a random plane crashing into a structure by accident are very low. Happens sometimes in cities. But anyway, like, we have all this safety consideration around this, but we give Senate seats to people who are, how the fuck old is Mitch McConnell? 153, something like that? And he had CPR performed on him last month. Dude, I bet he's never going to recover. And I mean that not to dunk on him. If he's that old, he probably has a lot of broken ribs. He probably can't walk right now. I don't know. Has he been seen in public? Like, CPR is traumatic. Like, the fact that he's still serving after having had CPR performed on him last month to all jokes aside, he's in his 80s, right? Yeah, I mean, and this is a person who had a mini stroke or something, like froze up in front of the press for 30 seconds and had to be whisked away, like mid-sentence, completely trailed off. Like, it's... I'll say this. When people say that the left and the right are both guilty of things, electing people who are too fucking old or not replacing people who are too fucking old is something that both teams are pretty fucking guilty of. Because people go, but Biden, when I say that Trump is 80 and ailing, and I go, yes, that's why he stepped down. I'm mad at him for even trying to run again for that exact reason. But yeah, it's, you know, It goes back to what we talked about with that earlier caller about how, like, we just don't cancel people for, like, one particular thing. And it's like, I voted for Biden in 2020 knowing he was too old because he was still the better of two options. And it's like, all right, yeah, he's too old. The other guy's also too old and is a rapist. Like, come on. Really? All right, the queue's empty. The mods are working on inviting some of the dissonance from the chat. David points out in the chat that it's a symptom of our horrible two-party system, and I agree. The system is broken in some ways that create the incentive to elect people that are too old or let them serve too long, because we don't have term limits in all the places that we should, and because incumbent candidates just have a better chance generally than new blood. That's how we end up with somebody serving like, you know, a dozen Senate terms in a row or something and being a senator for decades until they're arguably not even alive anymore. But we've definitely seen examples of that from Democrats in Congress as well. So it's that one's an issue that arises more from the game theory of how the rules of the system are designed. So I take issue with that. Oh, somebody was in the queue, but they left. No. I Hate Milk over on Discord says Weekend at Bernie's. They're dragging him around. He's a shell of a man. Yeah, I mean, fuck Mitch McConnell, right? Like, he sucks, but like, also, it's just like, never mind what he thinks. He's not fit to serve, right? Like we should be able to say that about people. People should recognize that if you're concerned about whether or not the president is fit to serve, like, we should also have that consideration for people in the Senate, because when we have all these when we have something close to a 50-50 divide between the parties in the Senate or in the House, one person voting awry because they're losing their fucking mind or whatever, or because they're being influenced by their handlers because they're not old enough to keep up with what their own jobs are, like, that's dangerous. That's, like, think about that, right? Like, Mitch McConnell's a bad guy. I don't like the way he votes, but I'm almost more afraid of the idea of somebody who wasn't even elected by the Republicans, a group of people around him, his handlers, making the decisions. Like, that to me is very concerning. Which was kind of the same concern between Trump and Biden that I had, is that when I was voting for Biden, the time he was elected in 2020, but then also in 2024 before he dropped out, I was like, look, if Biden has a mini stroke or Biden, just isn't with it enough to keep up with the office of the presidency, like that's bad. Like we shouldn't have a president who's unfit. But if that's a problem for both of them, I can at least trust that the people that Biden is going to surround himself, his administration, are going to be people who believe in the Constitution, are going to be people who are going to believe in his policies and like work for what he wants. Whereas I look at the people that Trump surrounds himself, and it's a bunch of crooked criminals who've conned their way to the top and really don't have don't have a record that gives me confidence that if the president is ailing and they're unwilling to do the 25th for whatever reason, like the fact that if somebody else is making the decisions for him, that they're going to be good decisions. I'm just way more worried about that with Trump in charge than with somebody like Biden in charge. Even I step away from the partisanship of it. It's not even about left and right there. It's that Biden's team was like a bunch of people who believe they're patriots, the people who believe in the Constitution, who like had some idea of what he wanted the government to be like. We saw that with Kamala Harris taking over his campaign, where she wanted to continue his plan. Whereas with Trump, I'm terrified of when he dies. I'm not excited about him not being president anymore, or like I want him to be removed so that the precedent exists that you can't be president and do these fucking things. Like that is bad, but it doesn't actually make anything better. The only thing that'll make it better is if we impeach him, and then whoever they replace him with, like JD Vance or somebody, has to obey the rules because they know Congress is going to impeach them. That's not looking like what we're up against. That's not what's going to happen after the midterms. We're not going to get enough seats in the Senate for that to be the case. But even if we get enough seats in the House such that if you fuck up, you get an impeachment proceeding, no president wants an impeachment proceeding. That's a big, ugly mess where everybody gets to see your crimes, even if the Senate is going to ignore them and not convict you. I want JD Vance to become president with that threat hanging over his head, that if he fucks up in the way that Trump has, he'll get an impeachment proceeding and he'll have to answer to it on the Senate floor. I think that's a real consequence that'll affect the way he behaves and the way the administration behaves after Trump, if Trump does not survive his first term, or his second term rather. So, but that aside, I am still just concerned about the fact that the people he surrounds himself with, Hegseth, who is not qualified for his position for being one of the most high-ranking members in the military. The only person higher ranking than him right now is the president, commander-in-chief. That's fucking concerning. He's a goddamn alcoholic. The problem with alcoholics is that they often show up to work sober because they know how to work their schedule. But if you're in charge of the military, you don't really get to decide your schedule. So I'm worried about Pete Hegseth's performance there. And then you have people like Stephen Miller, who have a pretty long track record of saying and doing reprehensible things that are un-American and not good if you're in charge of the government. You have Mike Johnson doing some, in charge of some of these efforts from Congress to defend the things that the president does, regardless of them being things that are obviously against the Constitution. So you've got the fucking A team of assholes, and I'm just not excited about that. Johnson, I'll get to you in just a second. I see you in the queue, but I'm going to thank Liam for $10 on YouTube Super Chat for saying, don't think I can today, but I would love to call in during friendly time someday and talk about my journey from being raised MAGA and becoming a social democrat. I would love to talk to you about that. Call in after 11:30 Central Time someday. Can't always take the friendly calls. Depends on how the show goes. But yeah, keep trying. I'm sure we'll get you in. W. Liam. Johnson is hopefully debate. I'd love to get a good debate in today, and I feel like it's kind of just been chaos and friendlies. Hello, how old are you?
29.
29. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think Trump makes America better.
How do you measure that? Like, in what way is he making the country better?
I'm mostly going on vibes on this. No, I can explain myself.
Okay.
I think we've been very patriotic in the last 2 years. I think there's a lot of pride in America for once. I like that. I think
so.
if you pay
agree.
attention to culture, we've been a lot less self-immolating in terms of our attitude towards our country. If you look at like music, we're moving away from rap. We're going back to country and rock.
Wait, hold on.
It's a huge cultural shift in the last 2 years.
All right, camera on. I'm sorry. I see the direction we're going with this. It's like xenophobia and culture wars and stuff. I don't think you respect the fact that like Black Americans have contributed to the culture in this country in a serious way.
I'm not saying rap is bad. I
camera
love rap.
on. Great, camera on.
Why?
Because
I have a job, so I don't want people to dox me.
But that's not because I'm saying anything controversial. I just want there to exist footage of you defending your own beliefs. So like
that rap music is what?
Is what? I'd like to know, and I'd like for you to answer that with your camera on.
I didn't say anything about rap music.
We're going to keep talking about it after you turn your camera on.
No, I don't want to show you my face.
Why not?
Because people who are very political in this space tends to want retribution.
I was a high school teacher for like 5 months while the show like rose to the size that it is. I retired from that a month ago. I didn't get in trouble.
Well, yeah, because MAGA don't go after people.
Yes, they do. Is that a joke? No. I get death threats. What are you talking about?
Well, obviously that's why you're not working anymore.
I am working.
You think you can keep your job? You're still a high school teacher?
Well, no, I resigned because the show is too successful.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't have two things at once. You cannot go on these lives and talk about politics and also dox yourself.
But it's just a necessary part of the game. I do have another part-time job that I haven't quit just because I like it. I still have that job. They're very excited for me.
Is it on the level of being a teacher?
What does on the level mean?
Well, what I mean is that
I engage with the public more.
That might care if you become controversial.
I engage with the public more at the job that I still have than when I was a high school teacher.
Well, not just public, but I'm just saying, like, as a teacher, right? There's certain expectations that, you don't talk about politics with your students.
Mm-hmm. That's sacred. Yeah. Got to defend that. Right. Absolutely. Never did.
I'm not saying you have to defend it. I'm just saying that's how it is.
One of the things I did working at the school, because I was a substitute teacher, so I wasn't in the classroom every day, but one of the things I did is that I was a bodyguard for students to protect them from ICE agents, because that's a fucking thing that schools had to do here in Minneapolis. So, like, it was very hard to navigate that without sharing any of my political beliefs with the students, because that is so fucking important in an educational environment. You're saying that America's doing great on vibes because of the fall of rap music, which I would argue is not even fucking happening, by the way. Like, look at the most recent, not the most recent one, but like look at some of the recent like Super Bowl halftimes and stuff. Like, your head's up your ass, and I think you know
people didn't like the Kendrick Lamar halftime.
I loved it. I think it was incredible. I think it was really. I think it was really well received. I think it's nonsense that you think people didn't like that. I think it was a really poignant culture statement at the time. I think it was a really well done performance. I think it brought in a lot of elements of the way that music interacts with people's opinions about the government, and then also kind of brought some of the like cultural stuff that like some of the what's the word I'm looking for? Like some of like the social interaction
culture
that happens.
Enrichment.
Well, I was talking about like the social environment of the music scene, like the fact that it was like a component of a diss battle with a different rapper while also being a dunking on the government. I thought it was fucking masterful, personally. What are you talking about? Put your fucking camera on, dude. Like, I think that you don't like rap music because it's mostly performed by black people.
My favorite artist is Kanye West. I probably know more about rap music than you do.
Camera on, dude. Fuck you. Come on.
Why are you so angry? I don't understand. I didn't even say anything rude.
You don't have to say it with a rude tone for it to be reprehensible, and you know that. And because because you know that is why you're refusing to turn your camera on. Camera on.
I would not turn my camera on even if I was on a MAGA show.
Camera on. You can hit the run button if you're unwilling to show your face.
See, I mean, the issue is that you were a substitute teacher, so you had nothing to lose. Well, I'm a doctor, so I have a lot to lose.
Fuck you for saying that, dude. You don't know how I valued my position. You don't know how much my students love me. You don't know how much when I walked into a classroom and the kids went, "Yo, we got Oscar today. We got Mr. Oscar." Like, that was really exciting for me. Like, it's sad for me that I had to leave that behind.
That's good for you, but you didn't have a lot to lose.
Fuck you,
Which
dude.
is why you just left your job. I'm not leaving my job. I spent like $200,000 on education. I make good money.
Camera on
for my family.
Yeah, and you're a coward who won't show his face because you know that your political beliefs are so reprehensible that it'll get you canceled. Why do you know better, dude? Like
I don't think it'll get me canceled.
And turn your camera on.
I just think it's controversy I don't want in my life.
Then get the fuck off my show. Either participate in politics or don't. Turn your camera on.
Well, I think you're being a coward for not having the actual argument.
I'm willing to argue with you if you turn your camera on.
Why? Why do you need to see my face?
Because
so you can dox me?
No, I don't. I just want you to talk to me with your face, and so that you know that there exists footage of you representing your own beliefs. If you're unwilling to share your beliefs with the public, I'm not interested. No, that's a reason for supporting Trump. I want to get into that. I want to talk about that, but I want to make eye contact with you while I do it.
You're making a lot of references. You want to make eye contact with another man? That's kind of weird.
If you think that that's weird, if you're afraid of making eye contact with another man, I wish you luck in your life. You're going to have a hard time with social skills.
You into my eyes and see where I'm coming from. Like, what?
I think you're editorializing what I said. Do you want me to look in and like really
editorializing? That's interesting.
Do you want me to get really personal with you?
That radicalized you.
Are you afraid of my eye contact?
All the things that you read on the New York Times growing up were editorialized and radicalized you? Did you know that?
I'm going to ban you in 10 seconds if you don't turn your camera on.
You're a stupid fucking nigger. That's what you are. Dumbass nigger bitch.
That's why he's not turning his camera on. Yep. All right. So let's see if he gets the show taken down for getting the N word and the K word out. We're going to talk to Juju Sato. Yeah. Again, I think it might be a temporary thing. Maybe for the next week or two, we're gonna play the camera on game. We're gonna see how many people who use the N word on TikTok will actually turn their camera on. So sorry for everybody. It's just a gag this week or so. It's what I'm in the mood for. Juju Sato, how old are you?
26.
Are you a Trump supporter?
No, sir. But I would think I'm a friendly.
We're just looking for debates for now. So sometimes I take friendly calls at the end of the episode in about an hour, but for now we're going to talk to Bilson, Bill space Bilson, and we're going to see if if he wants to scream the N-word, or if he wants to give me a reason to demand that he turn his camera on. Because generally, if you don't say something that reprehensible,
no, I'm definitely not going to say that.
Good. How old are you?
I'm 29. I am not a Trump supporter, but I do disagree with the premise. The founding fathers would be furious if you're interested.
Well, just in super quick, I recognize that they'd probably be upset that women can vote and that slavery is over, but I think that they'd recognize that the most important rules in the government are the ones that say that we can't give all the power to one man. So regardless of how they feel about how things are going socially, because they're a bunch of backwards old racist white people from the past, that aside, even in consideration of that fact, they'd be like, wait a minute, you gave one old white dude all the power? That's the whole reason we started the country. That's what I'm saying.
Even with that caveat, just from
I might have to kick you for service. I can't hear you. I'm losing you. Ooh.
Oh, so.
It's okay. You're just not coming through. Try again in a little bit. We can maybe have that conversation. But yeah, I did preempt it at the beginning of the episode by just pointing out, I do recognize that those guys were monsters, those old white people from the past. Anyway, request queue is empty, so if you're watching on TikTok, you should get double tapping away on the screen. So by the time I get done with my ad read and thanking some donors, we can hopefully have another call started. So I'm going to hop over to YouTube Super Chat. Nope, I already read Liam's message. Thank you again, Liam. But I will read... who sent me something on Venmo? Damien sent me $5 twice, so he has two messages to read. He said, black people invented all music in America. It got cut off. Let me refresh that so I can read the whole thing. Yeah, I consider one of my music friends I was at his dinner table and I was talking to his dad because I did Thanksgiving with some friends last year, and his dad asked me what type of genre of music I did, and I kind of thought about it for a second because I was like, I'm a folk singer, but I have folk punk elements, it's kind of hard. And then my buddy said something about my taste in music and my style of the music that I write, and he said, Oscar, I don't know what type of music you write, but it's definitely very American, and that has always really sunk in for me. I think I participate in the American tradition of music, and it's silly if you don't recognize that involves listening to people like Sam Cooke. Yeah. Anyway, the rest of his message was, black people invented all music in America with a blend of Celtic music. Oh, yeah. See, right there. We got to the folk crossover. He's thinking the same way that I am. Yeah, it's just fucking obnoxious to be so racist as to think that black Americans haven't contributed massively to the culture that we all enjoy. If the racists would be so mad if they knew how much they benefited from that culture in terms of the music they like and the performance art that they like and the movies they like and all that stuff. Damien sent another $5 to say, groypers like this guest are the biggest bitches in America. Immigrants and black people make our culture interesting. They are on the way out. He's talking about the groypers, not those minority groups. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's just racism, at the end of the day, if it's exciting, one thing that I think is maybe exciting about the quality of this show as it grows is that if I get enough callers to just demand that people turn on their camera, which maybe it's biting me today because I'm not, I'm not getting a caller at the moment. No, yes, I am. We're going to talk to IK5560. I was just going to say, if we have more viewership, maybe this is the show where the rule becomes that you have to have your camera on to talk to Oskar Quentin, and the tone of this show will change drastically compared to every other debate live. That's kind of the goal. If I had Dean Withers' viewership, if I had 20 or 30,000 people watching, I would demand camera on for every single guest. Anyway, IK5560. We're going to see if he gives me a reason to demand he turns his camera on. I'd prefer not. Prefer to just have a normal debate. Ooh, but maybe he connected by accident because the ball is spinning, which suggests to me that he is maybe teacupped and not going to enter. I'll give him a moment because we've got nobody else in the queue, and that gives me a moment to check my email to make sure I don't have more people to thank. But I will also mention, if you want to be one of the people to thank, you can find ways to do that in the link tree in my bio: Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon. Support the show, support me paying my bills, support me traveling to do the show from interesting places where interesting things are happening in the protest scene. That's the goal, and that California trip that everybody's excited about. And the staff, W. Raven and W. Jesse, for helping edit and get the VODs up on time and do the clips and all that stuff. We're still a little double timing it because I'm training them, so it's there isn't an avalanche of clips hitting the social media pages just yet, but we're kind of getting there. Like I've been they sit in this chair or the production seat over there and do the editing, and I kind of just like wash my dishes and like do chores in the apartment, and they're getting really good at selecting the right start and ends of the clips. I'm getting very, very excited about the work that they're doing. Jam session with Jesse Wells, fuck, that'd be awesome. But I don't know the guy. That'd be pretty sick. Jesse Wells is great. Go listen to Jesse Wells. Yeah, that caller didn't connect. So if you're watching on TikTok, let's see. I'm gonna do the pushy thing. We've got how many likes? It doesn't even tell me. It just says 0.2. Can I click on it? Oh yeah, look at that. It does show me. It does show me more precise information. Is it only 158K? Okay, yeah. Let's get it over 200K. Go on. Wait, now I don't know how to read this because I changed it. There we go. We got 500 people watching on TikTok. 78 of you are new, so welcome. If you're not following me, that's actually a better thing you can do for the algorithm than liking the live. If you're not following and you follow the live, that's like, oh, TikTok knows, like, I showed this person a live and they were like, I should follow the creator. So thank you, Stellar, for following me. Thank you, Flower, for following me. Thank you, JP, for following me. That really does help push the show a little bit and get new people in here, because that's the idea for callers. We need to get new people in and watching, so we can have new conversations, because I want to talk about stuff, but it's gotta be with people who, like, the bar for demanding that somebody's turning their camera on is getting lower. Gio says, do you want to play video games? Oh, am I going to become that kind of streamer? Probably not. I don't have time for video games. I love video games. I have logged thousands of hours in Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto. I played Call of Duty, like, I was ranked pretty high among PC players. My rank for, like, stats on PC were high. I was like, I don't think I ever got into the 2 digits, but I think I was in the 3 digits of of players worldwide. That was when I was a teenager. But now I'm doing more important things in my time. So I love video games, but I can't give them the time. I'm going to talk to Mandy with 2 Ys and see if we get an interesting debate out of it. Thanks, everybody, for sharing the live. I see everybody working away on getting this pushed out there, and I see new followers coming in. Mandy with 2 Ys is gone. I don't think she meant to join the call. So we're going to thank Colin for sending me $5 on Venmo. He says, let's talk about Major Jason Watson. It really gets to MAGA. Major Jason Watson, is he the guy who was arrested on the steps of the Capitol? Am I mixing him up? Let's see. Yes. So Major Jason Watson was arrested on the Capitol for holding up a sign calling for Trump's impeachment as an active service member, which I saw, and I saw it on Instagram. My first comment was, I want to see 2.1 million more. What would the government do if a big chunk of our servicemen all showed up at the Capitol? No weapons, just signs that say impeach Trump. I think that'd be interesting. I think that'd be quite the statement. So yeah, Jason Watson, Jason Watson, a real one, is my opinion on Jason Watson. Jason Watson understands his oath. I think that's fundamentally what's going on here, and I think that's very exciting. We've got August Soul, Soule with an accent mark, and we're going to talk to August Soul, see if he's a Trump supporter, and see what he says about everything that's happening. Hello, how old are you? Hello? Hello? Are you there? Goodbye. I'm going to thank Chris for $20 on Venmo. Chris says, saw you on Pickles Live yesterday with some of my favorite people. Very good panel to mingle with. That was fun. It was my, like, I'm on the occasional, like, party panel where it's just like friends, where it kind of gets echo chambery, and that's just fun for everybody, and it becomes more of a podcast than a debate show. But that panel with Pickles yesterday was, like, huge. Discord's talking about the worker bee thing. I haven't made my announcement about the worker bee thing. I need to set that up better. Continue being disorganized. It's my fault you're disorganized. David sent me $20 on Venmo. Thank you so much for saying, I'm ready to celebrate the 4th in a non-MAGA way. Yeah, I'm glad it's going to rain tomorrow here in Minnesota. I wouldn't have it any other way. The weather should be bad on on the 4th of July in this political climate. Yeah, absolutely. Lucky Phil sent another $2 on Buy Me a Coffee to say, you mentioned you do country music. Brian Andrews has many great left-leaning country songs. Yeehaw, Fuck the Law, We Are Great, Not C, and other bangers. I've seen him other people's TikTok lives before. I'd love for you to connect, collaborate. Well, I'll do the thing where I bust out the crayons that I normally use for keeping track of the ideologies of my callers, and I will write his name down, and I'll check him out. Brian Andrews, country. It goes on the board to be processed through eventually. I have so many Post-its here. Post-its have become enshittified. Random complaint. They used to be the appropriate amount of sticky for long enough. They're fucking, Anyway, VLETOXO, troll debate. Let's see. Hello, how old are you?
Hello, how you doing, sir? I'm good.
Good. How old are you?
19.
19. Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes, sir.
Why is that?
Because I believe that he does good on border patrol, all that. I think he handles the economy quite well. What else can I put out there? I believe in his, I wouldn't say this one he did that great, but I would for sure say in his last term he did great with the real estate market. And yeah, it's basically my first three right there.
In what way is he helping the economy?
Nigger.
Yeah. Yesterday I was listening to Dean Withers. Dean Withers is losing his patience with the troll. I kind of could tell that was a troll, like doing great with the border patrol. The fact that when he said that's when I knew it was probably a troll, because I think it's not a particular type of nonsense I hear very often, because he's not it's not like they're securing the southern border. It's not like people aren't illegally immigrating because they're doing such a good job keeping it secure. It's that people are afraid to come here because of the civil rights violations. So Republicans tend to avoid talking about the border, talking about the wall that never got built, all that nonsense, because it's just not a really good angle to make them look good on immigration. So when somebody brings me that, I immediately think, no, I don't actually think you're convicted here. I think you're just saying the talking points. Somebody's telling me that Dean mentioned me having him on his live. Everybody wants me to be back on Dean, but I'm just not going to be pushy. I've been listening to his show, and my plan is to just wait for a topic where I know that Dean knows I'm good at that topic, and then I'm just going to hit the request queue. So that's how I'll get on Dean, probably, unless he messages me or something. But yeah, the way he has talked about having me on suggests to me that he's happy to have me on again. I'm just not going to be pushy. I don't need to do that, often for it to be a huge deal for me. So W Dean, and W Aaron for sharing the live with everybody who has ever been born. Thank you. Another reason why cams should be mandatory to debate. I'm getting to a point where it's like, can we, maybe when my viewership is reliably over 1,000, I can say, here's the gag. Let's see if I get any debates with people if the episode requires cameras on. Can we do a cameras only episode on a busy day, like a Saturday or a Sunday, or just some day where I expect the stream to be really successful? Can we try that and see how it goes? Because I think it'll demonstrate that most of the conversations that happen here are with people who are probably hiding these beliefs from their own family. So I don't know. We'll see. User 785 can't read. User 75893453 burner account hovering over that disconnect button. He's going to tell us how old he is and hopefully not scream the N-word and leave, because that's what we've been dealing with. We're running out of Trump supporters who have anything about politics to say other than the N-word. So if that's what Trump supporters are, these shows exist to put a spotlight on that. So it's it just is important. ZZZ2121 or whatever it was from earlier sent me $20 on Cash App saying, thanks for taking some time to educate me. I was a little skeptical of that call, Zach. I was thinking, is this just a friendly who wanted to have the soundbite of me explaining this to somebody and them getting it? But the fact that you sent me $20 about it suggests to me that I was wrong, and it wasn't that. And you really did just want to talk about it. Appreciate that, dude. Fucking W's in the chat for Zachary. Yeah, that's you know what? That made my day. Thank you, Zachary. Not the $20. I mean, that's very nice of you. Of course, the $20 helps, but the message really made my day. Thank you. Araxa sent me $2 to say, seems like the 4th of July weekend is oops, all incels. Yeah, does seem that way. Tarantula's asking me on YouTube what my favorite topic to debate is. And I honestly just like novelty. Like, I get sick of talking about the same things over and over and over again. When somebody brings me something completely new, I'm always like, ooh, fascinating. I don't even know if I have any good arguments about this. Let's talk about it. And then it's a novel conversation where I actually get to like think on my toes and see how I think about something. That to me is the most exciting call. When somebody asks me a question where I have to think about it and go, ooh, let me consider my ethics. I don't know how I think about that. I've never wondered that before. People get to watch me wonder about that live on the air. That's what I love, because I'm not afraid of that shit. A lot of debate hosts are. I think a lot of people say, oh, well, I don't have a good idea on that. I'm just going to run away from it. But nope. Happened yesterday on Pickles Live because I didn't know about Walls pardoning that sex offender, and we really puzzled through it. I wanted to know the details and look at it, and yeah, I don't think what he did was good. But we had people got to see me think out loud about it. That's what I like on the show. That's really valuable to me. I'm losing track of the donations. Can't keep track. Here we go. We got one more on Venmo. Thank you, Nia. Nia sent me $10, and Nia said, I unfortunately can't vote, Canadian living in the U.S., but I appreciate the work you do in educating people on politics and encouraging people to be educated voters. Yeah. Looking out for you. Trying to look out for the people who are going to be affected by the things we do here in America, which, as important and powerful a country we are, is a shitload of people who aren't Americans who, unfortunately, I do think that we shouldn't have those people voting. That makes sense to me. But I do recognize that you guys are all watching because we fucking up big time and it affects other people. So here, I'll talk about the Walls thing because the chat's kind of demanding it. I haven't had time over the last 24 hours to like look at his statement about it, and I still haven't actually learned like the specific circumstances. But I do think what he did is bad. I'll preface that. But basically, I want to start by saying that there's a thing that Walls and other people who have executive authority have been doing, which is that they've been leveraging the pardon to protect people from deportation, because Trump leverages the pardon to achieve what he wants in ways that are maybe a loophole or maybe getting around the law a little bit. And some of the governors are fighting back by saying, oh, you want to deport this person because they committed this crime a long time ago, even though they're a perfectly functioning member of society. Thank you for the money gun. Thank you, Mukau. If you want to deport this person for something that, like, it just doesn't make the country any safer to deport this person. It's not a good deportation. One thing that the governor can do is just pardon that person for that crime. And because the crime is pardoned, then DHS can't deport them. Seems sensible if this is a person who, I don't know, violated their probation by using the green stuff or whatever thing it was. So the thing that's controversial about what Walls did is that he pardoned somebody who, to the best of my understanding, did rape a child. Which right there has me going, okay, I don't think that, let's not fucking do that, Walls. What the fuck is my answer to that? But then there's some other details about how he's a guy who's a father in a family now, and this was 25 years ago, something like that. And he's paid his debt to society. Like, it's not like he didn't catch the guy. Like, they're pardoning a crime to stop him from being deported, but they're not preventing him from serving his sentence, right? Like, I guess, I don't know if that takes him off the sex offender registry. I'm not a fan of that. He should stay on the sex offender registry. So we had a long conversation about like recidivism and like, whether or not this sort of decision is like going to create harm. And then there's one big thing that like brings me a little bit closer to the fence sitting on it, even though I'm not. I don't think it was a good decision. Let me continue to clarify that. The victim in the case wrote a letter saying that they wanted him pardoned for the reasons I just described. So I have to weigh that very heavily. And without that, it would be no question. But it's like a little bit conflicting because of that letter. But I haven't heard what Walls said about it. But from where I'm sitting right now, seems like this was not the fucking guy to pardon. Gemini Rising kind of hit the nail on the head in the chat on TikTok. Oh yeah, no, some crimes are unpardonable. I'm kind of with you on that. Like, the letter from the victim So here I'm reading from some of my worker bees on the Discord. This is a quote from the Minnesota Board of Pardons made the unanimous decision to grant Tu Vang his pardon after an exhaustive process, which concluded a statement of support from the victim, a recommendation to grant the pardon from the Clemency Review Commission, and a large number of community support letters. Okay, so yeah, it feels like an edge case, right? Because it's pretty fucking hard to get me to want to pardon a rapist. They're making an okay case for this guy, as far as it goes. So, Navex for 20 euros on YouTube Super Chat says, "Hey, Oscar, that European guy here from last week, on the off chance you remember, this is my Friday night beer fund donation for you. You're doing awesome work. Also, try Post-its. Their original Post-its. They're better. These are original Post-its. I stole them from the school I worked at. See? They are real Post-its. And shitification. That delicious 3M adhesive that they have the patent on and the secret recipe for, it's getting shittier, I think. I don't know. It's hard to tell. So I don't know. It's hard for me to go against everybody being involved in this and thinking it was a good pardon, because I do just look at it and think, don't pardon rapists. So that's where I sit on it presently. Certainly, I think Walls' political career is over. He's backed out of the governor's race because there's so much controversy around Somali fraud, which I don't even think he's in the wrong on. He just recognizes that the discourse around it makes him unelectable. So I take issue with it. I think it was not the move. If I was governor, I think I would say no amount of community support letters can make me do something so obviously. You're playing with fire with that sort of thing. Because I could see, the controversial thing to say here is that I wouldn't necessarily say that just because you pardon somebody who had done some kind of sex crime, necessarily that's bad. Because I could imagine all the details of this case being the same, but the thing he did, if it wasn't so bad, if it wasn't actually penetrating a child, as I understand he did do, if he was 24 and he sent some pictures to a 17-year-old and that was not kosher because of the consent laws or whatever the fuck, that sort of thing, that's bad. But if that was 20 years ago and he's been a functional member of society for 20 years, I'd be like, okay, don't deport him over that. But that's not what the fuck happened. We're talking about a rapist. So I can't square it. I can't defend it. I can't make, I have too hard line a position about rapists for it to make sense to me to do this. Even if people involved in it wanted, even if the victim in this case wanted it, which is really the only thing I weigh all that heavily against my own beliefs on this, because if we don't value what the victim wants to happen to their perpetrator, then what are we doing it for? Why are we upset about this? But I even know the answer to that question, and it's to protect other people, because it's not just the victim, it's potential other victims. And that's why we have to be so strict on sex crimes, because they have such bad recidivism rates. If you rob a convenience store when you're 19 years old and we catch you because the DNA evidence or some camera footage or something, they figure out it was you, but now you're 32 and you live in a nice house and you have a family and you drive your kids to soccer practice. I'm like, okay, I don't think you're a person who robs convenience stores anymore. I don't think we need to worry about that so much. But if you raped somebody when you were 19 and we find you when you're 32, no, the data suggests you might still be somebody who rapes somebody. So it's a different type of crime. The recidivism rate is really the thing that's so pernicious about sex offenders and why they're so difficult to handle in society, which is why we have the registry, which is why we have really long probation periods for people who are free, but still have to live under probation, because the amount of time you need to watch somebody to make sure they're not going to do something bad if it's a sex crime is very long, often decades. And as I understand, that was his sentence. It was like a 30 years supervised release or something like that. Which, yeah. Carrie says, what was the victim's explanation of wanting that? There is a victim's letter public. Maybe I could read it and the quote I read a second ago, I hate milk, over on Discord, is from Ellison's office. Yeah, I just can't. I don't know. They're asking, was she a child or a teenager? I call anybody under the age of 18 a child. I think she was a teenager. I could be wrong. Right there. She was adolescent, middle school age, 10 to 13, somewhere in there. It's Wu-Tang says, unless you're a football player with a promising future. Yeah, once again, it's like the Carmelo Anthony case, where it's like I can have my conflict about the amount of evidence available and all that bullshit. But at the end of the day, it's fucking obvious that the legal system is unfair on black people making, minorities in general making self-defense claims. White people get away with self-defense claims. People who are not white people tend not to get away with it as well. And that to me is just, that's obvious regardless of the specific case details of something like Carmelo Anthony. And I think that's the case here, where it's like we can also just point out that the entire system is miserably unfair on actually enforcing the laws that are supposed to protect sex crime victims, as is obviously the case given what's going on with the Epstein files. Like, that's the whole thing. The conversation we had, Iowa Golfer was on talking about it with us yesterday on Pickles Show, is that like we can sit here and quibble over whether this pardon was acceptable. Because I do kind of, the only thing that has me kind of in the camp of it being okay is that I don't actually think it like caused harm. I don't think this guy's dangerous now. Like, the details of the case suggest to me that he's not. Anyway, but yeah, it just seems like it's a nuclear thing that you shouldn't open the door on. But then we can say, okay, if this is upsetting, if we have to sit and figure this out, if Oscar's mad at Tim Walz about what the fuck he did with this, this is nothing compared to hiding the Epstein files. This is nothing compared to being in the Epstein files as a guilty party. Like, this is just not. It's the bar's in hell, and the double standard is absolutely insane. So we're just kind of left there. Jack, for $2 on YouTube Super Chat says, is the Discord closed or open? You do have to apply, and I'm not in charge of it. The mods are working on keeping the Discord under control. It's like kind of not my axis of control. So you can, there's a link in the Linktree in the bio, so it's public in that sense, but you do have to apply to get in. So go ahead and do that. Send your accounts and stuff. We're just not letting trolls in. We're not letting young accounts in. We're not letting obvious Trump supporters in. I'm going to thank Emily for $25 on Venmo. She says, your show has become a must listen for me every morning. I love your voice style and wish you the best. I appreciate you. Yeah, a lot of people want me to use my baritone. They want me to like be down in Johnny Cash land to be on the radio. What fucking work that would be for fucking 2 hours a day, hopefully 3 or 4 hours a day soon when the show's making enough money for me to pay the staff full time so they can just do it with me every single day. But no, I'm just gonna be me. I've got a wide vocal range, so my voice is all over the place. But my speaking style is pretty worked for. I taught public speaking for a long time. I was a theater kid. I worked on it. So it's not, that's not an accident. But, the fact that my vocal timbre is pleasant enough for people, for me to be successful at this, that's just luck. And I'm happy about that. Maybe some of it comes from training. Have I scared all of the misogynists and racists away by demanding that they turn on their cameras? Is that what happens now? Are we stuck without callers because I said that if you want to say that women can't vote, you have to have your camera on? Guys, I might I don't know. I want to do it. I just got an unusual join activity detected from the Discord. That's probably a good thing. And the Discord is telling me that the victim's letter hasn't been released due to victim privacy. Oh, here's me failing. Shawn's a regular caller. I can't remember which one. Is he a friendly? I don't know. We're kind of getting to friendly time if he is. Maybe the mods are screaming their heads off that I shouldn't be connecting this guy. I can't remember. How old are you?
Am I bad?
You are back. How old are you?
No, my bad. I was saying I'm 44.
I don't remember which one you are. I was just saying I've got a hole in my brain where I cannot associate a caller with what their username is. It's just it doesn't work.
You shouldn't have to. That's totally okay.
Yeah, we can start fresh. Are you a Trump supporter?
No, absolutely not. No.
Okay.
I am the hot take on ethical vegetarianism. Maybe you want to talk to me about.
We can get back into that. Where did we leave it off?
We didn't really talk about it because I didn't want to take over your show. I just wanted to find a good time where it made sense for you. But if it doesn't,
No, this is good. We're having a hard time getting callers today, so I'm happy to talk about it. Why don't you start and kind of give me your perspective on the topic?
Well, my hot take was there's no such thing as an ethical vegetarian. So I wanted to see what how you thought that was ethical.
Well,
or what an ethical vegetarian is.
Are you saying that because those vegetarians should be vegans and not vegetarians?
Well, yeah, I think being vegan is probably the most ethical take because then you're leaving animals off your plate altogether.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's probably some examples of consuming animal products where there isn't harm to animals. Like, I don't know, cows don't seem to mind being milked if we take good care of them, but I don't think we do take good care of them, so it's not really relevant right now. But I mean, other than that little asterisk of like, I can imagine having a pet cow in my backyard and milking it, and like the cow being happy and drinking the milk or using it for cooking, and that would be ethical. Would you agree with that sort of thing?
I would entirely disagree, because so how does a cow give milk? Wow. What does a cow have to do to be able to give milk?
Well, maybe okay, you know, I'm not educated on cows enough to proceed in this conversation. Maybe chickens are a better example. They lay an egg every day, even if they don't get it fertilized.
Well, I want to follow your same suit of logic if we're going to debate this, because you like to stay on topic. So I'd like to stay on the cow topic.
Okay, you can educate me about milking cows. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, they have to be impregnated, just like we as human animals have to be impregnated. So they're generally forcefully impregnated, and then their calf is taken away, generally slaughtered after that, and then we use their milk. So that's the only way you could do that. That sounds like cows just give milk.
That sounds pretty unethical. I didn't know that. But chickens do work that way, though, right? Hens just lay eggs, kind of.
Yeah, they've been bred to lay way more eggs than they ever have in the past. So generally, chickens will lay on average, I think, 8 to 20 eggs in a year. But now they're laying way more than that based off of breeding, which does spend them a lot quicker. There's a lot of unethical around that too. And then when we're talking about backyard hens, okay, I, as a vegan who tries to say, hey, I'm vegan, but I try not to be an asshole about it, because no one likes that. I already have a strike against me as it is anyways. But most people aren't eating backyard chicken or eggs or their eggs, you know, so.
Sure. I mean, we're sitting here kind of talking about whether or not there's like an asterisk of an example of a way that you can have a symbiotic relationship with an animal and consume an animal product. I don't think that's all that. So I don't think it's all like super relevant to the like global discussion here. I do think you're being reasonable. Like, I'm okay with the things you're saying. That's in alignment with like kind of the ethical conflict that I feel about being a person who does eat meat.
Yeah.
It's hard. I think that I have a hard time squaring the sort of arguments that people make to defend not being a vegetarian or vegan. I do think that there's something of a scale where it's like eating less meat is still better than eating a lot of meat. Would you agree?
Yeah. Well, okay. I do to an extent. I kind of think of it this way, and I don't want to. I'll say the term grape, I guess, or can you say the other?
We can say rape on my show. Thank you for being careful.
Okay.
I don't
want to get anything banned, but like if I were a man who was into raping, for example, which is terrible, I'm not at all, obviously, but if I only said I only rape sometimes, would that really come off as a good thing? Like, hey, you know, I only rape sometimes, but I'm not like everyone else who's raping every day.
Well, yeah, I suppose
it's kind of the same kind of way to say it.
Well, I guess
only meat sometimes.
Well, yeah. So I don't think it's a good equivalency, and I recognize that what happens to animals is often very, very horrible. I'm not going to try to minimize that, but what I do think is that we have to recognize that we are animals, and that if we rewound like 10,000 or 100,000 years and said, is it wrong for this rapidly becoming hairless group of primates to continue to hunt and violently kill animals to eat them? I'd be like, well, no, that's like going after the lion for biting the gazelle. It's not really how the naturalists say that we should look at it. And at the end of the day, we are a species of animals. So we as naturalists can look at us and say that we've evolved to eat meat, and we kind of fit under the same ethical domain of like, in the animal kingdom, some animals eat each other. Mother Nature's kind of a cold bitch, but it's not 10,000 years ago. It's 2026. We have better ways to feed ourselves. So the question then becomes, where along the way, has it happened already, or was it in the past, or is it in the future, is the point where we have enough prosperity and enough agriculture and enough of a bulletproof system to make sure that everybody gets fed, such that it becomes unethical to continue eating animals, even though that's what we evolved to do in the plains of Africa. That to me is kind of, because it's so obvious that it wasn't immoral for our ancestors 10,000 or 100,000 years ago to kill animals. That suggests to me that day must happen. Maybe not for everybody on the same day, but I, as a person who makes more money now than I did 5 months ago, am sitting here thinking, did that day happen for me this year because I can now afford to eat a more complex diet that meets my needs that doesn't involve animal products? I'm genuinely sitting here wondering. I might do it.
I don't think you have to be privileged to be a vegan, or have to have a lot of money. Some of the cheapest foods that we buy in our household are vegan foods. Tofu's not expensive. It's high protein. I'm a vegan athlete myself. I play hockey 3 days a week, and I work out in the gym 2 to 3 days a week. And I'm able to totally take care of myself and be efficient. I used to be pre-diabetic. If we want to go down the health route, I'm no longer that, just by simply changing the way I eat. It's not a privilege to go out and buy tofu. It's not a privilege to get the oat milk instead of the dairy milk.
I will say, I think, like, I do think you're wrong about that. Like, if we're just gonna go with personal experience, like I'm pretty, in my life, it's a little bit of a bummer that I've become internet famous against a group of people who like call me soy boy during a chapter of Oskar being really thin, because I kind of I do like a bulk cut thing, not on like an annual cycle, but on like a 2 or 3 year cycle. So I'm down like 20 pounds or something over the last like 2 years because I've been focusing on running. So I'm running real fast these days, but I'm getting kind of sick of that. So I think I'm going to go back and get heavy again over the winter. So I've had periods of doing bulking where I'm trying to eat like an insane amount of protein every day, like 150 grams, 100 to 200 grams or something like that. And that's fucking just logistically hard to do, never mind money. And things that are logistically hard to do are more difficult for people to do when they're poor because they don't have as much time. And now I'm in a different, even more unique and privileged situation, which is that I do have the money to just make it go away. I can buy whatever groceries I want now. That's very exciting. That's first time in years Oskar can just go to the grocery store and buy whatever the fuck he needs without thinking about what it costs, because I'm going to eat all the food anyway. So I'm going to the grocery store every 2 weeks instead of every half a week now. Yay. Oscar's not poor anymore. So it's not a financial problem, but in terms of the logistics of figuring out how to get my dietary needs met in the ways that are maybe a little precise for what I want from my life, it's difficult in terms of time and disruption to my schedule. And that stuff matters for me right now because I'm busier than I've ever been. That's not true, but I'm busier than I
just to clarify something. I'm sorry. Please. So you were talking about bulking. What was that, right?
Well, I just go through periods in my life of allowing myself to get skinnier while I focus on cardio, and then I get like heavier again, and I get stronger and do more lifting. And I'm thinking about going back into one of those phases. And when I'm in those phases, I tend to do it very aggressively, and that's just logistically difficult to do without eating a shitload of white meat chicken every day.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure we're talking about things that are analogous, because when we're talking about the privilege of being able to buy food, generally people who are maybe in a poorer segment of life aren't worried about bulking as much as someone who is in a privileged state of life who is trying to bulk. I easily get over 100 grams of protein a day, no problem. And I barely think about that. And I'm privileged to be able to do so. If I was in a poor state,
those are the things that we value.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're being analogous to our terms, though, because if I'm a poor person who maybe doesn't play hockey 3 days a week, because I definitely can't afford to play hockey at that point, that's privilege too. I'm probably not going to be worried about trying to get over 100 grams of protein and bulk up.
Well, so we're talking about the things that we value and are important to us and to do. Like when we talk about how logistically difficult something is, oftentimes that just has to do with what your knowledge and skills is. The chat's pointing out that a lot of people live in food deserts where it's hard to find these foods, even if they are affordable. So like, never mind the particular
what foods would that be? Are we talking rice and beans and tofu?
Well, okay. What I was
very easy to find.
What I see, I'm detecting like a little bit of that condescension of like just eat rice and beans and tofu. But if you put bags of rice and beans and tofu on most people's kitchen counter, they might not be able to figure out how to cook that in a way that their kids are going to want to eat, and that creates a logistical challenge from you. You're speaking for them. You're speaking from a point of privilege that you're like, obviously I know how to do this, but not everybody has the time and space to figure that stuff out, and they have to weigh that against solving all the other problems in their lives. So
that's totally fine. I can appreciate that. And usually the definition of veganism is going as far as you are able to do as an individual. I'm happy to say a person who can only do what they can do and still happily call them vegan as long as they're doing everything within their parameters. Right now, I'm talking to you, though.
Right. And I find myself in a situation where when I was like working every second that I was awake to survive, the question of, hey, instead of buying, 20 pounds of chicken at Aldi and like cooking it into a bunch of boring musclehead rice and chicken dishes in the freezer that you can microwave and gobble down to get through the day, do you want to maybe like come up with a comprehensive plan to make sure that you still get your dietary needs met, because your daily labor is so difficult that if you don't eat well, you like pass out at work, like because again, my metabolism's insane. I'm a runner, so like if I miss a meal, I can pass out from shoveling dirt. Back when I used to work at the dirt factory shoveling dirt ingredients, so like to ask me, hey Oscar, your life's fucking miserable, you don't have time to see your friends, do you want to come up with a comprehensive plan to replace protein in your diet with things that the vegans would approve of? I'd be like, no, I want to fucking go to bed so I can get up tomorrow and shovel dirt again. And I've just done that too much in my life to sit here and say that it's necessarily unethical for somebody to look at that situation for themselves, whatever the exact details. If I gave different examples of how it might be different for different people, and say, now is the time for me to become an enlightened animal, or instead of being a lion chasing a gazelle, I should be a human wearing a top hat and eating rice and beans. I think I'm with you about the progress. I just don't judge people for not having made the leap yet. And I'm sitting here thinking it might be time for me to make the leap.
Yeah, I don't think we should judge others. I get that food is a choice. I'm seeing a lot of interesting comments. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm vegan. I'm not an asshole about it. I get it. But I also do equate choice as if we are a developed species, we are like a higher animal, if you will. We're not. I'm not going to compare myself to a lion and a gazelle because I have more ethics behind my knowledge base. So I don't know. Anyways, not trying to get on a tirade here.
Well, I mean, I just feel like I feel like maybe a little bit of the privilege and condescension poked through, because I pointed out that it is hard, it is sometimes expensive, and you said no, it's not, and maybe it's not for you, because maybe like for it to be inexpensive, it takes time and attention to figure out how to do it inexpensive. If you want to do it quickly, that's expensive. Like if you just want to go to your regular grocery store that you already shop at and say, I'm going to buy the vegetarian option for everything that has the same nutritional value, that's an expensive thing to do that just works if you have the money. You can do it without the money, but you have to do research.
Why is it? I would challenge that though. I shop
at Aldi, and I think I'd have a hard time. Like even if it's just because I could buy everything that I needed at Aldi, I'd have to learn how to cook a whole bunch of new stuff. I'd have to really change. Like food is so important to lifestyle. You're asking somebody to make a major lifestyle change, and that's just really, really hard for people who are poor.
And to clarify, I'm just asking people to think about it mostly. I'm not trying to make a choice for someone else. You're more than welcome to make
I value the conversation. I mean, I'm hosting it. Even though the Discord's
it's not
mad at
very
me.
expensive candy. It's really not. I'm sorry.
The Discord's mad at me for letting the views fall, but this is the sort of conversation that I get the views up so that I'm not upset. I'm saying I like getting the views. You don't apologize. I'm the one who had you up. I knew this was going to happen. It's not you. It's the subject. But I'm okay with that because I run the show to get the views up so that when there's a subject that's really important for me to talk about, I have the privilege of pointing all these viewers at it. And if people leave, that's their fault. And it makes me maybe less of a grifter that I don't really give a shit because I do think this is important to talk about. I think it's I think you and I are close to each other, like on the spectrum of this issue, and people are learning from us puzzling out some of these details. So I'm leveraging my platform to platform you because I value the discussion. I
certainly appreciate it. Yeah.
I just do think that we need to recognize, I guess it's the same argument I made earlier. Obviously, in the past, it wasn't unethical for humans to eat meat. When we were actual savages, like actual uncivilized, maybe language doesn't exist yet. We're much more similar to our close neighbors in the tree of life, primates. Like before all of this humanity started, before all this civilization started, obviously we're not going to fault those creatures from the past for hunting. But there just comes a point for every person where that's not the case anymore. Because obviously, I think if I was a millionaire, I would just hire somebody to be responsible for my diet, and I would say, I would say, make me a vegan and make sure I get enough protein and all this. I'd tell them about the potassium I need. I'd make sure my smoothie in the morning got me my micronutritional loadout set and all that stuff. Like but I don't have that kind of money, so I'm sitting here being like, well, I'd still have to do it myself, but maybe I can afford it. So I just think everybody has to make that decision in their life, and what I hope for is that over the next 100, 200 years, we can look back at this time and think, holy shit, people were still eating meat. You still had all those cattle farms. What the fuck? How uncivilized, how savage, you know?
Yeah, I think it'll be akin to slavery in a lot of ways.
I agree, but I also think that enslaving cows is less immoral a thing to do than enslaving people. I don't think they're equal.
Well, absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're going to protect our own species first, 100%.
I don't think it's just a matter of self-defense. I just think it's actually less evil.
Yeah, well, have you watched a documentary, Earthlings, or I'll just leave it at that. Earthlings, there's another one that's similar, but have you actually watched kind of the atrocities that happen in the animal kingdom, if you will? It goes through not only farming the animal, but
I don't know. I don't know that particular resource, but I will tell you, you don't have to do any convincing. The way that we treat animals is fucking horrible, and that gets to a problem that's bigger than just the meat market. It's capitalism and enshittification. If the people who make those poor chickens I eat at Aldi are incentivized to make more chicken, they're going to do a bunch of evil shit. They're going to treat the chickens poorly. They're going to they're going to grind up the ones that aren't good for what they're trying to do with the chickens. If they're trying to get eggs laid or whatever, they're going to do things like inject the meat with salty water so that it weighs more, so that I get fooled into thinking that the prices aren't changing even though they are. Like, they're going to do a bunch of fucked up, horrible shit. And I think that food is necessary, which is why food is one of the domains in which me as a democratic socialist, I'm excited to see great change over the next decades, where we say, hey, capitalism yields evil when we're trying to feed people, whether it's because I'm buying chicken that's weighted down with salty water, which is I consider to be fraudulent, and it also does make the chicken shittier. My rice and chicken has been getting shittier for years and years as I've been eating so much of it, which is a shame. We're also treating the chickens fucking horribly. So I can imagine a situation where the sort of socialist influence over politics that I hope happens in the coming decades is one that says we shouldn't treat animals so fucking poorly. And then this doesn't even get into the fact that there's a bunch of ethical considerations that have nothing to do with the well-being of the animals. It's bad for the earth that we're growing all this food to feed it to pigs to then eat the pigs. The tropic levels of it are inefficient. You lose so much energy along the way. Like, I get all that. I'm just saying that I think, like, I just can't fault people for trying to live their lives. It's hard.
Yeah, I can appreciate that 100%. You haven't made any arguments that are really kind of the typical ones, so I appreciate how you're coming about it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, somebody in the chat's already mad at me. It says, Far Cry, I would never compare humans to animals. Dangerous comparison. And I'm sorry, dude. All of my ethical considerations have to do with suffering and what I know about biology. And humans are fucking animals. It's not a comparison. We are animals.
We are animals.
We are primates. If you can go to go make eye contact with a gorilla. Go to the zoo and look deeply into the eyes of a gorilla. And he will look at you thinking, why the fuck are you making eye contact with me, dude? And you'll think, oh my God, that's a very human response he just had to me staring at him. We are fucking animals.
For sure. And I look into cows' eyes. They're beautiful creatures. They're no different than our dogs in a lot of ways.
Yeah, pigs are the same way.
Yeah, pigs are intelligent. And if we're as intelligent as we are, I think we can start thinking in a way to get us to further our compassion around all animals and not just ourselves. And we're not even compassionate towards us. Proven when you have a guest come up and yell out the N-word over and over again. If we could be compassion to the least on the planet, think how much compassion we could give to us together and unite. I don't want to get all soy boyish here on you, but like that, there is a breakdown there, and it's analogous in a way to where if we treat the least of species in a great way, how much better are we going to treat ourselves? And others are.
Yeah. I mean, the chat's pointing out some of my ignorance. You're not supposed to make contact with gorillas because it's offensive to them. Great. I didn't know something about gorilla culture. Oopsie daisy. Like, fuck.
Well, that's a privilege. That's a privileged point of view.
Right. Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
Well, no, it was. Because why? Because it doesn't. No, if I lived in the plains of Africa, it would be really important to know how to behave around gorillas, but I don't. So it's they don't live. No, they live in the jungle, not the plains. Anyway, you know what I mean. But last time I was at the zoo, the gorillas were fucking, and I felt like I'd walked in on a couple of humans fucking. I was like, shit, my bad. I'm gonna go look at the fish. I'll be back later. Sorry, bro. Like,
you guys have fun.
He looked so fucking disappointed in me for being there, and I was like, I'm sorry, dude. I will leave.
Oh my God, that's too funny. I love that.
it was a very humanizing moment for me and that gorilla, where I was just like, oh, bro, I'm sorry, like that you have to fuck in this cage. Because also I hate visiting, unethical zoos, and that like, a lot of zoos are miserably unethical.
It's sad going to a zoo now. I used to love going to zoos, and now I just look at it in completely different way, and I hate it because I really do love zoos. I live in Portland, Oregon, and we have a beautiful zoo here, and I don't go to it anymore.
Well, yeah,
I can't look at the faces. I'm just so sad about the animal. I'm like, oh, you don't want to be locked up in a cage, so we can just look at you.
Chat's arguing about whether some zoos are ethical, but I was about to bring it up. As a New Yorker, even as a kid, I could visit the Central Park Zoo and be like, what the fuck is this? Like, why do we have a polar bear in a cage? But the Bronx Zoo is a conservatory, and I love the Bronx Zoo.
I have not been to Winston.
Bronx Zoo is incredible.
That's cool.
Yeah, I haven't been to the zoos here in Minnesota recently enough to levy my opinion, but given that I'm picturing that gorilla enclosure, and it's a little too small for me to think it's good. But I think this is all important, and I think that the tide of society moving away from eating meat is inevitable. I think we'll
get there eventually.
I think we're at an inflection point.
To your point on privilege, we also have to have support from the government to step in, but also in so many categories. Like, we should be having universal health care by now. We're one of the only countries that don't have that, on our, you can speak better to this than I can. You're so educated in this area, but I just believe we need to take care of our people better, and we're over here funding war. It's terrible. So we talk about privilege, and it's just like, we wouldn't even have to talk about veganism as being privilege if we just took care of our people in a better way. We didn't have food deserts. We weren't spending millions of dollars on war. We were spending millions of dollars on poorer places and taking care of people. But that's a whole other kind of dimension.
Yeah.
Maybe I said something wrong, but
no. Something in the chat just caught my eye because it's an interesting question. I want your thoughts on it because what about making your pets eat a vegan diet?
Yeah, I did that for a while. We have a small Pomeranian.
Pomeranian, okay.
We just had a small Pomeranian, and eventually we don't do that anymore. We did it to the point, if it's ethical for the animal, then I'm okay with it. But cats they're obligate carnivores. Sorry, and I'm not gonna fuck up a cat. That's not right.
I've been poor enough. I've been poor enough in my life as a person who has a dog and 3 cats, because I acquired a bunch of pets when my life was less unfortunate, and then I had some hardship hit me. I've always had to know that I can to make it to tomorrow to get groceries, it's a more grievous sin to have my cats eat dog food than the other way around. For long term, it's the other way around yet, because dogs are omnivores. They have vegetarian and meat needs in their dog food. Cats are just carnivores, so you can feed a cat dog food and it'll get its nutritional needs met, but it won't like it as much. But you can't feed I can feed my dog cat food for breakfast to make it to noon when I'm going to the grocery store, and she'll love it because it's something new. But you can't do that. Exactly. You can't do that for very long because she'll get sick because she's not going to get her needs met. So those are things to consider, because I can't think of a way you could care for your cats, and I wouldn't know where to start if I was trying to make my cats vegetarian. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I don't think I should put my ethics on an animal that I live with. My dog shouldn't have to bear that. And especially
Jen in the chat. Wait, sorry for interrupting, but Jen, I was having a hard time puzzling it out. Jen put it perfectly in the chat. Dogs can eat cat food. Cats can eat dog food, but not consistently. That's accurate to their nutritional needs.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. And I'll go back to it. I'm vegan, but I'm not an asshole about it, and I'm not trying to sit here and be so far, just crazy about everything. It's like we see on the left. Sometimes we eat each other when it comes to that kind of we're arguing over semantics, and it's if we would just come together, we wouldn't have Trump and all.
It's not semantics though. It's this interesting thing about how we're sitting here saying that we don't see a path to I have 3 cats. I can't think of a way of making them vegans that would be ethical because they just need meat. But I can imagine that if I was a millionaire or a billionaire, which I would never become a billionaire, maybe I could hire a team of scientists to figure that the fuck out for me. But it would be so much work that it's obviously not worth it in terms of the ways in which I can affect the ethics of my life on Earth. There are better ways for me to spend my time to create good in the world. But that's the same equation that we're solving for each of ourselves when we decide to become an ethical vegetarian or an ethical vegan. It's just I just accept the fact that for a lot of people it is daunting and difficult, but more and more, the more prosperous we are on Earth, maybe we can get to a point where all the people are vegetarians because that's the obviously ethical way to behave, and there is no meat industry anymore. And then at that point we can be like, oh, the scientists have figured it out. It's a little expensive, but you can buy vegetarian cat food and they'll be perfectly healthy. The technology doesn't exist yet.
I hate to, because everyone's being so reasonable here. I appreciate it, but vegetarianism is really no better than just eating meat. The meat or the egg and dairy industry are the meat industry. Because you have to kill animals.
I think you're being an absolutist there. I think.
No. I'll explain. So with chickens, male chickens get ground up alive for birth, just to produce eggs, and then for cows, you have to strip the calf away. If it's a male calf, it goes straight to slaughter for veal. That's so you can have milk. And then if it is a female calf, they are eventually going to be impregnated forcefully until they are spent, and then they get slaughtered for your pet food. It is the same industry. We can't. I just want to be honest about it.
It's the same industry, but you can just okay. So we don't get eggs or dairy from pigs. If people stopped eating pigs and didn't replace them with other meat, that'd be a win, right?
Oh, sure.
Then what you just said is wrong. I'm sorry.
How's that wrong?
Because Candy just put it in the chat. Less harm is still better. So being a vegetarian is better than eating meat. Being a vegan is better than being a vegetarian. I think it's silly to not recognize the spectrum of progress here.
I can appreciate that. I'm just saying it isn't an ethical stance because you're still doing something unethical.
We all do things that are unethical.
We do, but let's stay on the topic.
It's unethical.
Me using my phone could be deemed as unethical right now.
Me using,
that's not what we're talking about.
Every time I make a Google search, some computers somewhere crunch up that disgusting AI blurb that it gives me that I skip right past, and every single time I hit that button, it wastes some electricity and some water somewhere and makes a town somewhere slightly more upset about the ever-growing need for data centers. It's impossible to behave in a way where your ethical crimes is zero. So it's silly to just say all or nothing.
That's an impossibility. You're correct, but that's not analogous. It's not impossible not to choose oat milk over dairy milk, and it's not impossible to choose a tofu scramble over eggs, which arguably both of those are cheaper options.
I think the biggest point of contention between us is that I don't think you put enough value in the fact that better is still better.
No, I'm happy with better.
I drink almond milk. I don't drink dairy milk. Great. I drink almond milk, but I recognize that among vegan options for milk, almond milk is not the least evil because the water footprint of almonds is fucking enormous. A gallon of almond milk takes 10,000 gallons of water to make or something obscene like that. I don't actually know the number off the top of my head.
Still much better than the amount of water that it takes to produce
much
dairy.
Better, but it would be much more better if I had oat milk or something, which I just don't prefer.
You don't like oat milk? Oh, I love oat milk so much.
I like oat milk is fattier than almond milk, so I use it for a protein shake, which
I like soy milk too, higher in protein.
Well, yeah. So, but the fattier oat milk I use for protein shakes because it binds better with the protein that I'm adding, so it's less chalky. But then again, just like in my daily smoothies, I just drink almond milk because I prefer it.
Nice.
But again, you're failing to recognize that doing something that's less bad is still more ethical than doing.
Well, it's not. Yeah. I don't think almond milk is bad at all. I don't think it's unethical to drink or eat almonds. The problem is we spend so much water in other areas that we have to worry about water in that area, which we shouldn't have to. If we didn't have animal agriculture, you wouldn't even be talking about how much water almonds take. Because our lands would be so much better off.
Well, I hear you. I just say that we're getting to this point in the conversation where we're talking about all this nitty gritty, and you're acting as though the nitty gritty doesn't matter. Because I would say that not only is being a vegetarian better than not being a vegetarian ethically, and then being a vegan.
I say that too.
Well, hold on, but
I'm not saying it's not.
But what I'm saying is that if we have a spectrum, if you get 0 points on animal ethics for eating, if you're like me and you eat a whole bunch of chicken and pork and steak and stuff like that, which I do, lamb also, I love halal food. If I get a 0 for that, that's fine. And if you got 100 for being a perfect vegan, I'm saying a vegetarian gets a 93.
Okay. That's fine. I don't really like think of it as a point system.
The numbers are arbitrary. My point is that not only is there a spectrum here, I think that the vegetarians are much closer to the vegans in terms of their ethical output their ethical effect on the world than somebody like me who does eat a shitload of meat. Yeah,
I can see that for sure. I don't disagree with that. My only thing I was saying is that there is no such thing as being vegetarian isn't an ethical stance. It's usually a diet. Vegetarianism is a diet at the end of the day. Whereas veganism is not a diet.
Well, everything you decide to do is some sort of ethical stance. I can go for a walk in the park and say that because I wanted to go for a walk in the park and because I didn't see any harm to anybody, I therefore have the ethical stance that it's acceptable for me to go for a walk in the park. Walk in a park can be anything. It can be eating eggs. It can be eating pork. It can be eating chicken. It can be using a technology that requires data centers to exist, and data centers are kind of evil right now. So like everything we do is an ethical stance that you're saying to yourself, I'm okay with me doing this. This is an acceptable thing for me to do. And then we have these areas of cognitive dissonance where I'm sitting here thinking I can afford, both in terms of time and space and finances, to be a vegetarian. So I'm thinking maybe that's cognitive dissonance and I should just do it. So I'm puzzling with that. But everything we do is every single step you take in your life is one that you're saying you're allowed to take, and that's an ethical stance. And I don't think we can get away from that.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. That's fair. I'm happy to concede to that.
W me. I'm going to celebrate it cheekily because this is obviously a very friendly conversation.
And I have nothing but love for you. Like, I respect what you're doing, and I mean, this live is incredible. Like, I'm on here almost every day. Just not to sit here and glaze you. You love it. You love it.
I don't hate it. I'll tell you that. It's not. You know.
You got a great chat too. Like, I appreciate everyone's comments. Anyhow. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I mean, I was just gonna say, you know, we were joking about it with the first caller who thought it was like some sort of incredible like concession that I said that I like recognize I have some narcissistic tendencies as a performer, and it's like, have you met actors? We're kind of a douchey bunch. It's just some of us recognize it and try to leverage that for good, which is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, you have a healthy level. It's a healthy level.
I mean, at the end of the day, like if you're not interested in that, like you're not going to have a good time talking trash with the chuds, and that's like kind of part of my job. So like,
for sure,
got to be able to dunk a little bit. The show's not successful.
I know. I'm sitting in the background enjoying it, so I appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate you. I think we're wrapping up though, unless you have anything else you want to add.
No, that's it. I appreciate you taking the time. My only thing would be to add is like, if you do have the privilege to do so and you have the knowledge behind it, why not maybe just look into it a little bit more and see what you can do? And going with what you said, Oscar, as far as levels go, do as much as you can, and you're doing great. Like we have hard lives. Everything is not easy these days. So I'm not here to sit here and put judging. I'm not here to judge. What's up, Raven? How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I'm good.
I feel like I'm in here with like 2 stars now. I'm a little nervous.
You're a star too. You've been here enough, and
I
you're a long-time viewer, so we appreciate you.
Yeah. Love you guys.
I just wanted to comment that both of you guys have very good takes on this, minus the privilege part, but we can leave that out. But from the outside, it seems very much like a communist versus Democrat conversation.
Oh, wow.
I would say Shawn seems very much like he's demanding we arrive at the finish line as our goal, whereas Oscar's arguing that it's going to be a little bit of a journey and we should value
and to be clear, Shawn, Raven's not calling you a communist. She's drawing an analogy to the way that I talk to some of the communists, which that the communists want everything now, vegan, and I'm maybe more vegetarians is better than less vegetarians.
I acknowledge that I definitely in this conversation have come off that way. Again, I'm not a professional debater. I'm here with nerves. I'm not perfect. I'm in front of an audience. I'm not used to that. So
in chat, but I've been arguing that you do a really great job arguing for a vegan standpoint without being an asshole.
Well, I appreciate that, and that means a lot coming from you. I really do appreciate that, and I try to. I definitely don't want to be an asshole about things.
Well, much like with the communists, it's like it feels like 80-90% of the communists are so unreasonable that they can't even have a meaningful conversation like this. You're like that 10-20% of the communists where we can sit down and be like, we're like an inch apart on the political spectrum. Let's work together.
Well, exactly. I'd rather us come together and going to your point, Raven, about how I'm maybe a little bit more, I think, in the sand or like kind of with it. I'm happy to acknowledge that, but meaning that I also need to like let go of some of my stances a little bit. I'm happy to have it be a journey for everyone. I'd rather see a journey for everyone than be hard nosed in the sand and be an asshole about it and not have anyone come over. I'd rather people come over in their own way.
And like, I think that like, you do have the right views. I think maybe there's just a little bit of blindness on the privilege. But overall, I don't see you standing here demanding everybody be a vegan.
Well, in his defense, I feel like I addressed it and I got some concessions. Like I think I gave some examples of people that aren't maybe like anybody in this call who deal with it. The chat was so happy that I clocked that it's hard to get kids to not eat meat because as somebody who has not experience with childcare, it is hard to get them to do it. And some parents have situations where like, never mind meat or not, like some parents have a hard time getting enough calories into a kid because the kid just like won't eat whatever they're just picky. When your job is to feed a kid, the kid being a picky eater can feel like a medical emergency. So to complicate that further by restricting the things that you can try because of animal ethics, that gets fucking hairy for parents. So I just brought that up as one made up example that I know is a thing that happens out in the world.
I have a pretty severe texture aversion, so I struggle with most vegetables.
Oh no. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
that's tough.
But this is lovely. I've been kind of waiting for you picked a really good time, Shawn. I was really glad to be able to give you
well,
the
like I said, I wanted to respect the live and I appreciate what you're doing, and I don't want to make obviously the live isn't about what we eat. But
it's about the ethics of Oskar Quentin. That's what the live is about. So yes, it is. It's about everything. Okay. I just have to weigh what gets airtime in terms of balancing the success of the show, which is important to me accomplishing what I want in the world, and then those things that I want to accomplish. So if I threw away some viewers today to have this conversation exist in my body of work in the VODs, it's going to be episode 75 is the vegetarian episode. I'll put it in the damn thumbnail so people can find it, so people can say, I'm curious about Oskar Quentin's thoughts on vegetarianism. Now they are public. Thank you for that.
There you go.
That.
Yeah. I got to get myself together so that we can get to work here in a few minutes. So if you want to drop me down.
W. Raven is the editor, and W. Shawn for bringing a really insightful conversation. Do you have anything else before I let you go?
I have nothing else. Just appreciate you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm here to support.
W. Shawn, thanks for hopping up. I'm going to read the donations and get out of here because I've got a gig to get to tonight, which means this Raven's going to come over soon and we're going to get to it. So I'm going to roll back through the Venmo. Oh my God, there's a bunch. I am so sorry for not doing. I was so locked in on the vegetarian call. Kale, C-A-L-E, sent me $50 fucking on Venmo. So let's get some W's in the chat for Kale. He said, appreciate what you're doing. Love that you break it down and go step by step. It's disheartening to see the trolls and having to filter through disingenuous callers. I find a lot of value in the good faith conversations when they come through. Keep it up. That was like a fresh idea I had today, that camera thing. Like, I mean, I've been doing that lately, but I think the idea of a camera on only episode is like interesting because maybe I'll just get no callers and it'll be a failure. That'll be fascinating. But yeah, that step-by-step thing, holding them down, all about it. Caitlin sent me $5 in Venmo to say, I do eat meat and I try to eat meat as ethically as possible, but my daughter has a soy allergy, so being vegan is exceedingly difficult option for us. Too many vegan products use soy. Yeah. I was thinking of you and people like you, Caitlin, when I was going over that stuff. David sent me $5 twice, so he gets 2 messages read. Ooh, let's see. He sent me $5 to say, rice and beans and tofu, fine since that's rice, beans and tofu, fine since that's all we can eat now. Yeah. Well, that was like the one little point of contention in that conversation. I was like, no, it's not that simple. You can't just buy rice, beans, and tofu and call it a day. What about our pets? Do we only feed our pets vegan, or do we keep the chicken industry open to make pet food? See, I should have been reading the donations, but I'm glad we did get there in the conversation before it ended. Danielle sent me $1 to say, hi, Queen. I'm watching the stream later. A vote for Oscar is a vote for human rights. We are Unk. I'm not running for anything at the moment. Danielle also sent me $3 to say, for the crew. Thank you. W crew, W staff, W mods, W Discord, W fans, W everybody. I'm having a good day. Barry Angry sent me $5 to say, I work nights, so I usually miss your show. Looking forward to the longer format. Hoping that we get there. That is going to be very, very exciting when we do. And yeah, tomorrow, depending on what my 4th of July plans are, might be a longer day because I am having Jesse come sit in as the in-house producer, which makes it easier for me to do a longer show. But anyway, I got some YouTube super chats to read. We read the Discord. Kronos says humans are the worst animals I've seen. Those hairless primates with nuclear weapons on that blue planet, not so great. They're not doing a good job. Alina says, recognize your privilege, you vegan donut. I said it more nicely than that. And Kronos added for $2 a W Raven. And then for €5, we had the Kenny Boy say, as someone who has no issue if everything was vegan because it tastes just as good, that was a really cool convo. Glad he was open to hearing you out. Yeah, there were, I think, some concessions in both ways there. That's very exciting. And thanks for all the smaller gifts on YouTube and TikTok. I can't always keep up with all of them, and that makes me feel very, very bad. But I can see that people are sending their roses and all that other stuff. So that was the Oskar Quentin show for the day. Today's the vegan episode. Raven's going to come over and edit it. If you want to contribute to the show, you can do that through the Linktree in the bio. Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon are the ways. The Discord is also in there if you want to convince the mods that you aren't going to wreak havoc on our Discord and you want to come talk and contribute to the show's information keeping and fact checking and all that stuff and other stuff we work on over there. That's fucking exciting. Very, very excited about the Discord. It's growing super duper fast. But also just following me on all the other platforms helps keep the show healthy, helps keep the show safe from the ban. If you want to follow Oskar Quentin 2, this account, if you're watching on TikTok, give that a follow so that, if someday I might not be live on this show and it'll be there. Average guy, fuck off. Call in tomorrow. The show is over. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, TikTok. And goodbye, YouTube.